Wrestling.
No. Ah!
CoCoTALK would like to thank our patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to I got a TV on behind me right now. Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Amigos Retro Gaming, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Weisler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichert, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Rick Hewlin, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Steve Rasmussen, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C, Tom S, Tim Lindner, Tom Heron, and Tony C. Thank you ever so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
This is CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer. With your host, Mr. Gameplay Goodness himself, Stevie Stroud.
All right, we're here with a little bit of a throwback intro there. And we've got a great show in store for you. We've got a great panel. We got a special guest. We've got a live audience out there. Kevin Holloway, Mikey, Sixy, Coco Man, 8 Bits in the Basement, Frodo, Tom, Eric Gunderson. Pilot is out there. Canadian Retro Things. Ken Reichert is out there. So hello, everybody. Welcome to CoCoTALK and welcome panel. Atari Leaf. I've not seen Atari Leaf in a long time. How are you?
Yeah, like a year.
Yeah, David Craker is out there, and this is kind of our Easter edition since tomorrow is Easter Sunday. Qui-Gon is out there. Hey, Qui-Gon. All right, well, we can sit here and say hello all day and not even do a show, but let's go ahead and start the show. Let's go ahead and we'll go around the room. I like what Mark Bosley did last week with the line feed, carriage return. That was cute. So top left-hand corner, our resident Apple guy, Mark Overholzer is here. Hello, Mark. Thank you for being here, for all that you do for the show.
Glad to be here. Always fun.
We've got the Game On Challenge guy, the guy whose hair is so dreamy it makes us all jealous. You know him. You love him. It's none other than Nick Marotta. And how are you today, Nick?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. We have the stunt double for that rock band ZZ Top. Rick Hewlin is here today. Hey, Rick, how you doing? He's doing so good, he's on mute. That's awesome. Big old thumbs up. For those listening at home, those were
I like when you turned the
up,
sound on to do a silent thumbs up. That was awesome.
Hey, Paul Fiscarelli's out there. Yo, how you doing, Paulie? How you doing, Paulie? All right. We got Jason, the Coco Man Reichert is here. He was freshly brought a sandwich from Sarah. Hello, Jason. How are you?
Why, hello, Stevie. Yes, I got a sandwich and also brought me a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Ooh, that is exciting. Our backup streamer, the guy who made the show happen for us last week, and very thank you to you, sir, Mr. Mark Bosley. Hello, sir.
Hello, everybody. Made the show finally. Didn't know if I was going to make it today.
Excellent. You know him. You love him. It's none other than Ron Delvaux. You're on mute too, Ron. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you say. And keep on talking. I still can't hear you. It's all good. There we go.
I was saying I was at Nitrous 9 headquarters in Saskatoon or wherever the heck it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There we go. Tim Linder is saying hello in the live chat. Hello, Tim Linder. Hello, Pilot. Hello, Terry Steen. Our news correspondent, the Color Computer Games List website guy, the guy who's making Nitrous 9 even more nitrous-y, L. Curtis Boyle. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad. We had Ron on mute because he was about to divulge some important secret information on updates to Nitrous 9, so I had to put the witness protection
Can't
program.
do it, Ron. Can't do
That's
it.
Great.
Non-disclosure.
You signed that NDA, man.
Enforcement Division will be over to see you shortly.
And we have Brian the Schubring Music Man is with us. Hello, Brian the Music Man Schubring. How are you, sir?
I'm excited.
Ooh. You know what? Hearing you do your voice thing is about as fresh and unexpected as me doing that. All right, so
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it.
It's a beautiful thing. Okay, the Hollywood Squares just shuffled on me. Alan Murphy's with us. Hey, Alan Murphy, how are you?
Howdy, doing all right. Hope everyone else is.
All right, and the live stream out there. Speaking of live stream, Grant Leedy's out there live streaming with us. Who else did we see? Tim Linder popped in a minute ago. Thanks, Tim, for being here, and thanks for your help on the newsletter, which we'll be hopefully releasing today. We talked about Brian the Music Maker. We talked to Mark and the Thunder from Down Under. It is none other than the creator of the latest game for your CoCo, where we're going to all say, shut up and take my money for 0 hour. Nicholas Marentes is here. Good day, Nick.
Hey, good day. Thank you very much.
Yes, and so little tie-in with updates with what I'm wearing. It's a tie-in into Nick's homeland, so we'll talk about that hopefully sometime today. And last but not least, our special guest today, who's got some earth-shattering, groundbreaking news to share with the world. But it's Alan from AC's 8-Bit Zone. Hey, Alan, how the hell are you?
Hey, Stevie. I'm also so happy to be here. I hope I'm not on mute.
You're not on mute. No, you're not.
All right.
We all try and be as careful as possible, and then when it comes time for our spotlight, it's like,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's like watching a samurai theater, right, where the words are just not in sync with the thing, right? So, I am at the Shaolin Temple, and yeah. So, excellent. So we're here. We're gonna jump into Nick Marotta's favorite part. Nick Marotta has a time crunch today. He's got to be somewhere. He's got a plane to catch. He's got people to see. He's got his agents that are working with him on a new network deal. So look for the Nick Marotta breakout show coming to WNBC in the near future. But until then, we're going to jump into his favorite segment of the show, the Game On Challenge. And from what I tell, let's see, just comes in from the booth, but my producer. My engineer is telling me that I think we've got a brand new CoCo Thoughts from Samuel Gimes. It is probably Game On related.
Oh boy.
I know Ron Delvaux is a huge fan of the song parodies. Atari Leaf says, thanks so much and glad to be here. Right place, right time, eh? Oh, absolutely, eh? Take off, eh? All right, so how about let's go over here and let's see what Samuel Gimes has been thinking about. Let's see what his CoCo Thoughts are. And then we'll talk about the game that we played this week and all that good stuff. So here we go. The latest CoCo Thoughts for your viewing, listening, and cerebral pleasure.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Shark treasure, do 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 do. Shark treasure, do 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 do. Shark treasure, do 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 do. Shark treasure. Get the gold, ooh, 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 get the gold, ooh, 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 get the
It's got a beat and you can dance to it.
Gold. Use flash, bang, 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 ba, bang, ba, bang. Use flash, bang, 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 ba, bang, ba, bang. Use flash, bang, 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 ba, bang, ba, bang. Use flash, bang. I got 8, no. I got 8, no. I got 8, no. I got 8. Now I'm broke, boo hoo 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 hoo. Now I'm broke, boo hoo hoo hoo. Now I'm broke, boo hoo hoo hoo. Now I'm broke. Where you son of a.
Oh my God! With song parodies like that, I think we're gonna need a bigger boat. Oh my God! Didn't see that one coming.
Nope.
Ooh. That was Samuel Gimes. You know, you almost should have expected a Baby Shark thing with Shark Treasure, but I didn't expect it. But how he did it as only Samuel Gimes can.
Thank goodness.
Now it'll be stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Luckily, that was bad enough. I don't think we'll get a copyright.
Oh, my goodness.
That's our standard here at CoCoTALK.
So somebody's mentioning that on Twitch, it says I'm playing The Witcher 3. That's an old feed from Restream. I'll have to fix that later. Can't fix it now. Sorry about that. But by the way, if you're watching us on Twitch, in case you haven't noticed, I'm not playing The Witcher 3.
I'm on Twitch. It's fine.
No, the description of the game being played or something like that. So,
okay.
Yeah, Frodo was all excited because he thought there was a Witcher 3 being premiered for the CoCo today. So I corrected him.
Ooh, and Simon Jonason has just joined us. Hey, Simon, the Madman has joined us. Hey, Simon, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Simon.
All right. So that was Samuel Gimes' latest hit, Shark Treasure. Do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go on to the results. For those who played Shark Treasure, let's see how they did this week. Are you ready, Nick Marotta, for me to roll tape?
I am.
All right.
High Score Challenge.
All right, and welcome to another week of results. This week we played Shark Treasure with 20 scores submitted. Gary M, 8,000. Nathan, 8,000. CoCo Discord user, 10,000. Marcy, 10,000. Henry Nonick, 12,000. Mr. Dave, 12,000. Joshua Craker, 14,000. Jim Rice, 16,000. Rick Yu, 19,000.
Ooh, Rick Eulin.
Tasman, 20,000. AC's 8-Bit Zone, 31,000. Me, 42,000. David Craker, 44,000. Rich N, 44,000. Sloopy Malibu, 50,000. Canadian Retro Things, 51,000.
Ah, nice scores.
Frodo NL, 86,000. L. Curtis Boyle, 172,000. Z9K9, 221,000. And the number one score this week belongs to Buck Owens with 240,000. Way to go. Great scores, and thank you to everybody who participated this week.
Mm-hmm.
CoCoTALK salutes Buck Owens.
Woohoo! Yahoo! Buck Owens. Wow, that is an impressive score.
We'll talk more about Buck Owens' score in a bit, but for now, we'll just talk about the game itself. Okay, so you should see my screen coming up.
There we go.
Looks like, alrighty. So here's the review from Rainbow. They liked the game. They thought it was a nice alternative to space shooters and all the other normal, usual genres that were out there. So I had a few reviews submitted by various people, Curtis and Buck Owens and that. So we got a review from
Color Computer Magazine.
Thank you. Color Computer Magazine and Hot Cocoa and other magazines. So anyway, here's a couple different score cards from Rainbow. The first one shows 245,000 as a score, and that's very interesting. Again, we'll talk about the high score in a bit. But notice in the second list, who got 126,000?
Some schmuck from
Boyle,
Canada. Yeah.
Are very
unbelievable.
I have no idea who that Maurice Boyle is. That's not a relative of mine in Saskatoon.
So yeah, 245,000, which is a definite possible score. So thanks to Canadian Retro Things for gameplay footage on his channel, Canadian Retro Things. So so this was a game that I played as a youth, and it was a lot of people hadn't heard of it here, but I thought I assumed it was kind of popular, but it got a lot of coverage in magazines. So
yeah.
And so basically I petered out at whatever my score was. I couldn't get higher than 42,000, whatever it was I got. I got to where there were 6 sharks and one of the rows was going pretty fast, and that was all I could do. So
I was thinking when we were watching the video that Samuel Gimes has made, that the fact that the sharks are in green water, it's like, really, where is this? What ocean has got green water? You know, is this what was that Troma thing, the Toxic Avenger? Is this taking place in that town?
Well, you've heard of that algae in the oceans where they get those green blankets. Obviously, this is it.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted I'm assuming they wanted to have match the border, I guess. I don't know. But if you're on a CoCo 3, you could hack the palette.
Yeah,
and that's what I did. I changed mine to dark blue water.
I mean, honestly, on the
sharks.
CoCo 1 and 2, what color would you make the sharks then? If you
Yeah,
did the water
exactly.
blue?
Yeah, they'd have to be green or something.
Green, red, or yellow is your options, and I think this is probably the best.
Yeah, they had to pick. They had to prioritize the color where it made the most sense.
So what I didn't realize, because I didn't pay attention to the score as a kid, was as you increased rows, the gold got more. So start off at $1,000 per, and then each row, each 4 levels, it goes up 1,000. I think that's what Buck Owens had said.
That little guy looks like me in my red swimming trunks. That little fat guy.
The little guy moves really quickly for a sumo wrestler.
So I don't know if there's a lot of things to talk about in terms of techniques. Curtis mentioned one last week of you could follow the shark and touch the shark top or bottom.
As long as you're not in front of the mouth. Yeah, any other side, you can actually run right into it and you won't die.
And once the shark lunges at you, that's it.
You're game
toast.
over. Yeah.
And then you lose.
The biggest secret I have, especially on the later levels, is you have to follow the sharks to safe spots where you can suddenly duck down. Basically, is the safest way to put it. So if you have a shark that's just coming off, say the left side, and you've got a speedy shark, below that, you'll kind of time it to go fall around his tail until the fast one goes by. Then you can skip down, and also don't be too greedy on later levels. At the beginning, you can pick up all 3 and not worry about having flares. But I would always keep at least 1 flare in reserve and only pick up 2 maximum, maybe 1 on the later levels when it gets going really fast.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I was too greedy. I was trying to get 3 and then 2, so that was probably my downfall.
I was kind of wondering why they don't have like a little snorkel thing on the guy, because is he swimming? Is he on top of the water?
I know he's diving deep.
Yeah,
I know.
Sumo wrestlers can't really fit those all that well. You see, that's why.
No.
But they can float well, which is why he can float in anywhere in the water he wants. It's a cool game. I think one of the reviews, Buck had pointed out that they compared it with Lunar Rescue from the arcade.
Yeah.
Which I guess loosely, because you go down, you rescue people, and you come back up on the arcade game. But when you come back up, like when you go down, you're dodging things, and when you come back up, you're shooting things. And that's totally different than this, because here you don't get to attack the sharks whatsoever. They just attack you. The only thing you have is to spin them around 180 degrees with the flares, and with a limited number of flares. So the gameplay to me is a fair bit different enough to make it unique.
It did kind of remind me of Frogger from Hell, if you will.
Yeah.
You could wait as the shark's moving at different speeds, formed a pattern that you liked, and then kind of make a
and there's
run
no
through it.
timer on this one either.
No.
That was really nice too, because
Yeah.
I had to go answer the door in the middle of my game, so it was nice. I hopped on the boat and stayed.
Come back, it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, if they had added a timer element, or even worse, like oxygen management, then this game would have been brutal. More brutal
Somebody
than it already
mentioned
was.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was challenging enough as it was.
Yeah.
So we found out something interesting this week. Buck Owens actually found it out. I don't know if my next tab is. So in the Buck Owens brought up the code, and he found these couple of lines, which compares compare A to F6, and then it jumps to, where does it jump to?
And just after it.
Okay. So anyway, this is Buck Owens' play, and you'll notice he's at 240,000, and watch what happens. So he's going up to the boat with a piece of gold.
And why does his gold like multicolor there? He's got,
Because it's worse. And that's it.
That's it. It just jumped back to the home screen.
So that code that I showed you, basically, if the score starts with 246 or up, it kicks you out to the main screen.
Yeah, you basically you've beaten the game at that point.
Yeah. So I imagine that was their way of not worrying about overflow and that sort of thing. They probably figured nobody would get there. So so Buck Owens, actually, his score was probably 247. The reason the gold was bigger color is as it gets more valuable, it changes in appearance. So at that point, they were worth 7,000 each. So his score was probably really 247, because when it added to the 7 to the 240, it kicked off that condition and kicked him out of the game. So that was an intentional exit from the game, which is kind of didn't even tell you anything. Just congratulations or anything.
Yeah.
Just like, boom, you're done.
Yeah, because as far as I can tell, the scores are based on, what is it, 100 or 1,000 point minimum. So basically, it has 1 byte to do the actual digits of the score, which would normally be 0 to 255.
Yeah.
But maybe assume that the gold would be worth enough that you might wrap it. Like maybe the maximum value of gold is wrapping at that 246 mark. So as soon as you go over that, he just, rather than try to fit an extra digit, which you had room for, he could have put an extra byte in there. But he just ditched it.
Now, did we check the rainbow scoreboard to make sure none of those scores?
Yeah, 245 was the high score. So I don't know if that
the problem is too is that if you don't capture that score before that condition, you lost all visual
proof of it.
Because the screen just goes away and it doesn't show you at any time the best score. That keeps no running high score at all.
No, that's why I had to give a warning to people to take a picture before as you're approaching 0, because you're not going to get a chance.
No, I didn't try the one trick you sometimes could do back in the day to get a screenshot, where if you hit reset, I don't think Shark Treasure restarts itself when you hit reset. It actually exits to OK, doesn't it?
Oh, so that way.
Sometimes you can do like a PMO 3,1 screen 1,0, and then you can take a picture of it then. But I can't remember.
No, it reboots when you hit reset.
Okay, but does it clear the video memory? Because if it doesn't do that, you should be able to bring up the score again.
I'll have to look.
So anyway, that was interesting. That interesting find that Buck. So Buck broke the game this week.
Yeah, again, he's done that a few times.
Yeah,
things that nobody would have thought would have been possible back in the day.
So so we had a good turnout, 20 people,
Not bad.
And the game seemed to be. Some people thought it was a lot of fun. So I'm really glad that it worked out well.
Looked like we had
I will mention one other quick comment. There's certain games that when I've had younger kids, like little cousins and stuff, come over that really like games that are somewhat kid friendly. This is a little bit more horrifying than regular kid friendly, but the kids always liked Dino Wars roaring type thing. They always like when the shark suddenly does the jump at you with the jaws open, because they always just jump and then they giggle like heck. So they always like this game. They came back to it multiple times. It was one of the 2 most requested along with Dino Wars for children 5 years old.
I think some of us got a kick out of that too.
Yeah, I was going to say, to that end, it looked like we had good family participation this week too, where we had some.
Yeah, we had Marcy and
wives and
AC's son. Yeah,
wives and sons joining too. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Always good to see that. I appreciate.
We had Joshua Craker.
Craker, yeah.
Joshua.
Yep. Yeah, I always it's always fun to have families take part.
Yeah.
Curtis, I just did that reset and then went to the screen, and I have a bunch of sharks and a bunch of guys and a bunch of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's kind of interesting. It shows the score though, but it's all everything's in the wrong place.
Right.
Oh, he must have picked a different memory address setting then. I'm sure I could fiddle with it to kind of get it out of there. Because I remember back in the day, like when I did submit scores to the Rainbow Scoreboard, like you showed earlier, I usually did try to send a screenshot printed out if I couldn't. I didn't have a digital camera back in the 80s because it didn't exist. So I would actually sometimes take a screen dump that way. I'd hit reset if the game didn't automatically restart itself, and just figure out where in memory it was and then just dump it out.
Crunch.
Nice.
Where the only thing you lose when you get eaten by a shark is your money, apparently, or they're just bringing in new divers one after the other, and it's like, oh well, send another diver.
Yeah, I mean at this point you've got maximum shark saturation here, other than like 2 sharks per row, which I think it does do sometimes, right? Do you ever get 2 sharks on one?
No, I don't think so. No.
Not that I know of. Oh, by the way, Jason posted into Discord here a picture of what the screen dump he did, and actually it looks like it's actually got the shape table, so you can see the little eating explosion and all the numbers and stuff rendered in there, and then the actual gameplay is down below, so it looks like he's got pre-rendered stuff for the beginning of the video memory, and then the gameplay is a little bit shifted down, probably halfway between pages that BASIC uses. I don't know if I can drag that over into here.
Yeah, and Frodo's saying that no, the sharks get faster, but we're not getting double sharkage.
I sent it to Nick too, just FYI.
Well, Nick, since you're sharing the screen, can you bring up this picture? Because it's kind of an interesting showing of the game.
Yeah, can you show everybody Jason's dump?
All right, hold on.
Let's just class out the place. Why don't we?
I can just talk for a bit.
Damn.
Yeah, because basically, if you look at the upcoming screenshot here, the top of the screen seems to be some of the shark, pixel shifted animations. Then you've got the large digits for the score, small ones for your flares and your treasure or gold, I should say. And then
just went away, Nick.
I brought it. Oh,
you brought it back. You brought sexy back. Bring back the sharks.
Brought the screen sharks back.
Bringing Sharky back.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, we can see it right now. Whatever
you
do
right now. Beside the big numbers, you can see the animation that he uses when you die.
And what is those small 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is that how many lives you have left?
That's your flares and gold.
Flares and gold.
That is a half-size characters.
And all I did was I just hit the reset button, and then it takes you to the disc extended color basic screen, and then I just did a little basic program, P mode 3, screen 1,1, and just infinite loop, and there you go.
So you can see the diver's got 2 states, arms down in the full jumping jack position.
Yeah, and then the sharks are pixel shifted so that it's faster. You don't have to calculate all the bit shifts. It's
right,
just
and the rotation of the sharks. I got your digits.
So the top of the score near the bottom half there where it says 2,000 gold or $2,000, that's probably the start of the actual gameplay screen. So the active screen is below that.
Right. Interesting.
There, you get to see some of the sausage being made there.
Yeah. Time to make the sausage.
All right, so we ready to talk about next week's game?
The suspense is killing me, Nick Marotta.
All right. So next week's game is a classic. On the CoCo.
Classic.
Hello Rider 64.
Oh, clowns and balloons.
That's right.
That's what I usually refer to as this panel here. We got a bunch of clowns and balloons here, and unfortunately, we're all out of balloons, right? So
that's right. That's right. Clowns and balloons. It should be another one that the kids may enjoy as well as the adults. So this is, of course, is by the imitable Steve Bjork, and I don't know if that's even a word, but anyway, that's our game for the week. And I look forward to seeing what you guys are able to do with it this week.
Yes.
I have to say, somebody had given me a rumor before I'd seen the cartridge. This is way back in the day when it first came out, that the monkey would eventually slap you in the head if
with the hammer. I'd heard about that too. Like he had a hammer and he would whack you with the hammer or something like that.
Yeah, like whack you. Yeah, and I was so disappointed when that never happened in the real game.
Very disappointing. And there's Jason Reichert holding up the cartridge.
The rumors are always more fun than the actual.
Yes. Okay, so next week game, Clowns and Balloons. That should be another good one for the family.
Yeah.
Good fun game. I think, does it support 2 players? I don't remember. Is it multiplayer?
I don't think so.
Not simultaneous. If it does, it would take turns.
I'm wondering if you could take turns.
I don't remember seeing a player number entry. You just press the button and it starts.
And your when you each time you start the game, your bonus value and extra life value becomes random every single time. So like, next life at X thousand points and bonus.
Is it?
Yeah. So that is random each time you start. So sometimes it'll be 7,000. Sometimes you get lucky, it'll only be 1,000. So
oh wow.
Yeah, but definitely want to play that one on a Black Beauty or analog style stick because you need the full range of motion to glide from left to right.
Yeah, your position on the bottom is based on your position of the stick. It's not, you move right to move right or move left to move left. If you move it 2/3 of the way to the right, you're 2/3 of the way right across the screen. So you definitely need analog sticks for this.
Yeah.
Good game, good music, good sound effects. And kind of inspired from Circus.
Yep.
Now, Circus Atari, right?
Yeah.
Or was it just called Circus?
That one had teeter-totter.
It was a seesaw. Yeah, so you had 2 guys on a seesaw that you had to keep bouncing back and forth and getting them higher and higher.
Yeah, so it's a little different, but very much the same spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, this one it's 2 other clowns or whatever, kind of just holding a trampoline that you jump off of.
And you bounce higher and higher as you go up. First, you can't quite reach the balloons, but the more you bounce, you start reaching. And if you clear an upper level balloons before you clear the lower level, that row of balloons appears again. So you have to clear the bottom.
Yeah,
level
from the bottom
first,
up. You have to do bottom, middle, top. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you get, what is it, 200 point per row of balloons you complete, and 1,000 when you complete all 3 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And it plays a little bit of circus music.
Yeah,
Yep.
multi-voice music, which was one of the earlier games in the CoCo that did that.
Yeah.
Right at startup.
So thank you guys.
That was the infamous DataSoft animated musical marquee. We had that on, what was the other one too? Shooting Gallery.
Yep,
Did it
I
too.
had it in it.
I don't think
Marquee.
Canyon Climber had title music. It probably still had the spinning marquee, but I don't think it had title music for Canyon Climber.
I don't think it even had the spinning marquee, if I remember.
Oh no, I just went to the graphics screen. It just said Canyon Climber, right? That's true.
Yeah, that was
True that. True that. All right. Well, we have a very special treat. We have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today. We're going to talk about digital CoCo video with our special guest, Alan from AC's 8-Bit Zone on that thing the kids these days are calling the YouTube. And Alan, how are you? Thanks for joining us again.
Hey, great, Stevie. How's the audio coming through?
Good. Sounds like...
Good, okay. I never know how this headset's going to respond on a given day. So great to be here, everyone. And yeah, I do have a nice announcement today. For anyone who tuned in last week and saw the video that Curtis showed about my prototyping, I was working on a HDMI or a DVI video output for a CoCo 1 and a CoCo 2. So I've had an update this week. I received the first prototype boards from JLC PCB. So it was a fun week for me, and I've gotten to spend about a day with the new hardware, and I put out a little video about it this morning on YouTube. So I wanted to share with you where this came from, and where it is right now, and then what I've planned for it to be in the future. So I want to share my screen, if I may.
You may. You may share when ready.
Okay. I believe this is the one. So you should be seeing a couple of CoCo 2s from the back. Yep. Okay. All right. So, you get a CoCo 1 or a CoCo 2, and you're stuck with the RF modulator, and everybody, the first thing you want to do is go ahead and do that composite video upgrade. So here's a shot of 2 of the CoCo 2s. The one on the top is the style with the vertical RF modulator. So you see there's the little audio out just above the composite video out. So this is after I modified it for composite video. I removed the modulator, changed the circuit around, and then I repurposed the channel switch for the audio BNC connector, or the audio RCA connector. And then the bottom is now the composite output. And then the bottom CoCo 2 is the later models where they laid the RF modulator flat on the main board. So now the channel switch is to the left of the video connector. So in the bottom picture, I managed to reuse the 2 openings that are already in the case, and you have composite video and S video, and the composite video connector is one of the little 3-pole connectors, the little TRRS connectors, so you can combine the video and audio on that one jack. So, this gets you a good ways down the road. But what I always find is that if I'm looking at text, I want to use the S video, right? And then if I want to play an artifact game, you can't see the artifact colors with S video. You see black and white. So then I want to switch over to composite video, and it's the back and forth. So I guess where this project came from is wanting to do away with that and have one video output that supports all the modes of the CoCo, and without a lot of switching cables around and changing inputs on the monitor or the TV panel. so that was the beginning, and here was the composite video mod and the S video mod schematics, and this was a screenshot of what the composite video looked like, and it wasn't perfect. I think it sort of depends on a lot of factors with a given board. It's analog, right? So there's a range of outcomes that people have had with different composite mods. And then this was S video, so it sharpens the text and it looks a little bit better. But I really wanted to see exactly what the programmer intended. So the idea is sort of like what CoCo VGA does. It snoops the data straight from the DRAM, and it goes to the three channels of VGA. Well, here with CoCo digital video, we skip the analog altogether, and we keep the digital samples as pure data, and we stream it over DVI or HDMI straight to the monitor. So there's really no chance for any corruption or any misinterpretation of the data or the colors. You're really just limited to how well you encoded the 24-bit or whatever resolution RGB colors, and only limited by that and the quality of your monitor. Okay, now we're going to go into. Okay, are you hearing the video audio through this?
No.
Oh, you can't hear that. Okay.
Not very loudly. Put it through.
Yeah, it's quiet. It's there, but it's very quiet.
How about now?
No, because I think when you share, you need to share audio too as you're sharing it. But
okay.
I don't know that we need to if we have you, right?
Yeah, you can just comment over it.
That's true. So if you can see this is fine. So I'll just freeze it here. Okay, so in the back is the socketed VDG chip, and then there's a little blue interface board, and then coming forward there's a off-the-shelf FPGA board. I got this little FPGA board for Christmas, and or right after Christmas, and the original intent was I was going to use it as a logic analyzer in the CoCo, so I would effectively bring 16 wire leads out of it and probe the VDG and learn all about how the VDG works, right? And but then I realized that I could probably do a simple little display out to this little 2.8-inch LCD screen, and so I thought this should be fairly simple to get a 4-wire SPI connection over to this little monitor and get a visual, because what happens is you can capture the data in RAM inside the FPGA, and you capture frame by frame as the SAM delivers the data over to the VDG chip. You're snooping it with the FPGA, and you're capturing it frame by frame in a buffer. But in order to know whether you're capturing data correctly with this logic, you need a way to dump the data out to a PC and look at it, or just use this little display like what I'm doing here. So this is how I got started. Just using the display, learning the idiosyncrasies of the SAM and the VDG, and boy, it has plenty. There's nothing quite as straightforward as you imagined that it would be in there. So there was a lot of learning about how does the VDG render the text, how does it go into the different graphics modes. So that was quite a journey. Definitely the hardest part of the journey, I would say. And then there was a good little bit of work getting the SPI connection out to this little TFT LCD screen, and then the HDMI grew out of the board. You see the cable coming out of the top there,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that's the full-size HDMI header, and I'm later in this video I show some gameplay footage on the real monitor. Let's see if it's in here. Okay, here it is.
I just saw you switch from Artifact to RGB. Oh, there's the Moon Cresta.
Moon Cresta. So this was last week's game of the week, right?
RGB,
Yeah.
perfectly RGB'd.
Yes. So here is the exact. These are the exact images that are stored in the DRAM. And then just a moment here, I'm going to switch through.
Is there any latency at all, even like a millisecond's worth of latency, or is this like as real time as it can be?
Yeah, there's not that much. It's yeah, I guess it would be. It's 1/60th. It's one frame. So so it's running. So it's updating the field or the screen at 60 hertz.
Uh-huh.
So it's one frame of delay.
Okay.
So a full frame is snooped and collected in buffer RAM, and once it's complete, then you go back through it and ship it over the HDMI cable.
We have a question from the chat, actually, now that you bring up the 60 hertz, and there's a person that must have a Dragon in the UK or something, but he's asking, will this mod work for the Dragon? And I mean, there's two versions of the Dragon. The Tana Dragon for North America is 60 hertz, so I'm assuming it would work there as long as it fits properly. But the 50 hertz PAL Dragon, if you modified the FPGA programming to do 50 frames a second versus 60, would it work there, you think?
It surely would, and I'm wondering how I'm going to test that. But it surely would, right? I mean, because it's keying off of frame sync and horizontal sync, so it's really going to be immune to the refresh rate, the 60 hertz or 50 hertz. But it certainly needs to be tested just to make sure. And I'm wondering how am I going to test that? But yes, it's going to work for both. CoCo VGA certainly supports both, correct?
I believe so. It's just a matter of trying to get it to fit.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's some.
You have to like stack up a whole bunch of sockets to get the clearance it needs, because it can't go down low enough to the motherboard. So you almost have to create like a riser socket for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, not aspect ratio or
no. Just logistics.
Physical fit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So HDMI supports so many different resolutions, and I'm pretty sure they're just using the 640 by 480 for CoCo VGA, and I'm just doing the same thing here with HDMI instead of VGA. So yes, it will work for both. We'll just have to test it and make sure.
Okay.
Are there any other questions coming in from chat, Curtis?
That's it so far. David Craker said, Alan, watch your video before the show and it looks awesome.
Oh, good. Thanks, David. Okay, so let me move on to the next. I think this is my final photo. Okay, so this is the big announcement. The prototype boards came in Thursday, and I played with them a bunch yesterday and got them up and running. And I don't have, there on the upper right, there's a little micro HDMI connector. That's just for show at the moment. It's not actually soldered on there. So I'm waiting for a hot air reflow station to come in so I can reflow the connector and the other little missing IC chip. So I've only been able to test so far with the little LCD screen, but I was really excited that the board powered up. It didn't fry my CoCo 1. I'm actually testing this one in a CoCo 2. The breadboard that you saw was in the CoCo 1, and this one's placed into a CoCo 2. I think it's the old style. Yes, it's the old style CoCo 2 with the vertical RF modulator. And yeah, so it powered up. All the power supplies came up. I was able to load the FPGA. I was able to load the flash chip, which loads the FPGA out of fresh power up. And just to see basic things working is a good sign, and I'm really looking forward to getting the connector soldered on there, and hopefully, barring some some mistake in this layout or whatever, it should just work over HDMI.
What is that shield in the top right-hand corner? Is that a micro HDMI connector right there, or is that for
Exactly.
USB power?
That's a micro HDMI.
Okay,
Correct.
and so is it getting its power from the CoCo bus?
It is. So pin 17 of the VDG provides us with 5 volts.
Okay.
And this board needs 3 internal power supplies, and those are developed by the little 4-pin regulators in the bottom right.
Okay.
Right beside the VDG chip. Yeah, so it drives all its power from the 5 volts, and the 6847 is riding piggyback here, similar to the way the CoCo VGA does this. So I think, going forward with this, one of my little goals is to see if we can run this without the 6847 in the socket. And that's not a giant leap. I think it's full of there's probably a couple of little tricks. Maybe there's some learning there, but it's not impossible. So that's one little thing that I would like to just try out.
And how would you do that? Would you
can
just do an FPGA implementation of the VDG chip itself, or has the VDG become unnecessary because you're just sniffing RAM and you don't need that chip anymore? You're basically bypassing the chip.
Yeah, right now the only thing that it's doing is, well, it's doing 2 things. If you want to keep your old RF outputs, you'll need the VDG to create the analog signals, to create the 3 or 4 digital signals that go over to the RF modulator. So if you want to keep that, you'll
Isn't the purpose of us doing this in the first place to say screw the old TVs?
Well, to me it is. So I won't feel bad at all.
Yeah. I want this fancy HDMI hookup thingy here so I can get my RF out going.
You're right on. Someone who's a purist might say, well, I want both.
Yeah, I want to see the crappy next to the good. I want the good with the bad,
Yeah.
right? So.
You want to make it look even better because you can compare the 2 side by side.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, run them side by side simultaneously, right? So I think there's maybe room for both cases where, some people may want to get rid of it and just run with this. So yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can make that happen. So that's one little thing.
I do have another comment from the chat here from Kieran from the UK, of course, creator of XROAR. And he goes, the Dragon and PAL CoCos interrupt the clock to the VDG, so if you're getting H-Sync from the VDG for timing, you'll need another source for that. But it sounds like you're kind of bypassing it anyway at this point, so it doesn't really matter.
I am getting the H-Sync from the VDG at the moment. So if there's an interruption, I'm not really sure how that mechanism works off the top of my head, so I'll have to take a look at that. And maybe that's one of the complications where, Brendan and Ed just decided that they just didn't want to go there with the CoCo VGA, and they just kept the VDG maybe for that kind of a reason. So I figured there would be some challenges buried in there somewhere. So maybe that's one of them. And stepping back just a little bit, I guess a month or 2 ago, we were chatting on Discord, and I was talking with Brendan Donahue, and I said, "Hey, is anyone thinking about a CoCo HDMI? Because I'd be interested in that that product, and I'd love to help out on it if someone's thinking about starting up a little project." And Brendan said, "Well, yeah, not right now. They're not really thinking about building one now, but it has been talked about in the past." So I said, okay. He and Ed had discussed it on occasion. So then I think I was chatting with, it might have been Rob Inman, and Rob mentioned the Commodore 64 has this Ultimate 64 with HDMI output. And so, that just kind of pushed me over the edge, and I said, you know what,
all that technology wasted on a C64.
I know. I mean, the 6809 deserves that, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So that really sort of lit a fire under me, and at that point, I already had my little Christmas FPGA board, doing some little things, and snooping the VDG and the SAM. And I said, you know what, let's just try this. And so that's how it got kicked off. Now, I will mention that there's the whole royalties and HDMI rights sort of a topic.
Yeah.
And so the Ultimate 64 has some way of getting around that. And the best we can tell is that
it's sympathy. They're going, oh, you guys are Commodore owners. We're not going to go after you. So
it's small potatoes for one thing. But no, I think what is going on there is that the only entity that needs to pay a royalty is the final assembler or the OEM. So if you're the manufacturer making an HDMI connector, let's say, you may need to be HDMI, I don't know, certified or whatever, recognized,
authorized,
whatever the right word is.
Authorized agent or something.
Something like that, but you don't pay a royalty. So you deliver your product to the next person in the chain, and maybe that person makes the motherboard or the PCB that receives the HDMI connector. Okay, if you print the HDMI logo in the board silk screen, you may need to be HDMI recognized, but you still don't have to pay the royalty.
Okay.
But the person who sells that computer or that set-top device or whatever, they would pay the royalty. And there's something like a $2,000. There's two different levels depending on the volume of HDMI that you're selling as a corporation, and it's at least $2,000 yearly. So obviously we're not going to do so. I'm not going to do that, right? I'm thinking I'm going to make 4 or 5 of these boards, and I'm going to use them. Maybe there'll be 2 or 3 people who also want one.
There'll be a lot more than that. There'll be a lot more than 2 or 3 people who want one of these things. I can tell you that.
Well, we may have to figure out how to build more than 4 at a time then. So
here's what you do.
5
here's your solution. You make the HDMI shield basically through hole or socketed, and you don't install it, right? So it's like shipping an emulator without the ROMs, right? So here's the board without the HDMI shield, and you put it on, and that you don't sell it to nobody, so you're not a reseller. So
you're on the right track. You're on the right track. Ultimate 64 took a little bit similar approach. So what they do is, the connector's right there on the board, and I can't recall if it advertises the HDMI logo. Surely not, right?
No.
But he ships it. He delivers it in DVI mode.
Okay.
So
which
here's
you
the
don't need the
difference
license.
in DVI and HDMI.
No audio.
You don't need the license DVI.
Right.
It's completely royalty free because the differentiator in HDMI was first it was just audio, and then later they had the ARC, and then some more features came along. Okay, so you ship it. Well, and the other thing is that we're making a little hobby board here.
Yeah.
So I'm making a board that I'm not an OEM. I'm not selling a computer or delivering a system or making a profit on a system that claims that it uses HDMI. So I'm just going to ship a little board to a few friends, and they would like to. They may decide that they want to, as a hobby, upgrade it down the road for HDMI. So they would just download a different image into the flash chip on the board.
So does your HDMI port in here support sound then?
So it's interesting. That's one of the little things that I'm going to be working on going forward. HDMI does support sound, but I don't yet know how I'm going to A to D convert it and get it into the stream. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just sampling. I'm just creating an octave of tones, and I've just proven out that the HDMI is sending the audio from the FPGA to the TV, and later, now that I have this board, I'm going to see if I can bring a fly wire from the RF modulator.
Right, that's what CoCo VGA does. You just tap into pin 4 of the can and you get your sound from there. You get a ground from the motherboard and audio from the pin 4 from the leg of the RF can. Yeah.
I probably should have asked more questions from of Ed and Brendan before I did.
Well, it's on the CoCo VGA site because I did that. I did that one myself.
Okay.
I soldered my connector for that, and I'm not even a hardware guy. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm not even sure how they went about, A to D converting it or what they did. Does it go to? Oh, I guess
it's not even an A to D. It's going to an 1/8 inch, yeah, and a 1/8 inch headphone jack, right? So.
Okay, so it's straight through.
It's straight through, so you could intercept that and feed that out.
So that's a purely analog signal.
Analog audio,
converting it to digital.
Yeah. So what we'll do here is we'll either just do that as a fallback, but where I'd like to get is go ahead and digitize that and ship it over in the HDMI cable. So that's a future, the next few weeks kind of a thing that I'll be looking into.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of video, guys, Ed Snyder's in the live chat. Hey, Ed, thanks for being here. So you can't call it CoCo HDMI, right? You don't want to make HDMI part of the name for the whole licensing thing, right? So.
No, I figured it. So I'm calling it CoCo DV, CoCo Digital Video.
Yeah, I love it.
You can call it CoCo DVI plus sound later, but.
Yeah, really sneaky. I don't know if I can fit that on this tiny little board. This board doesn't have a lot of space available. But yeah, so that was the thought. Is this is a digital video board? Maybe you just want a little LCD, or maybe you're fine with DVI and then sending the sound through the side channel. But if you want to go with HDMI, that's your prerogative as well.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. So I understand part of this. I understand that you're basically you're sniffing video RAM. All right. Now what I don't understand is how you're doing the artifact emulation. So there's got to be some type of logic in there that's emulating like what the CoCo VGA does and what MAME does and things like that, right?
Yeah. So I don't exactly know their algorithm. But I'm doing something that must be very, very similar. So. Really, at the really simple level, what happens is
go back for 1 second because you were showing Dragonfire too, and Dragonfire does some unique timing where it's like changing stuff on scanline modes.
Like
5,000-6,000 times per
you're
second.
Aware of that.
Yeah. So that the fact you have that because that doesn't even work on emulation.
Yeah, because that's changing the color set signal on the VDG like multiple times per scanline.
Yeah, it's like 5,000-6,000 times a second.
This is a good test case game. This one really stresses and tests the ability for the timing of the snoop to be correct. So you're exactly right. Yeah. Notice how you're seeing.
And look how clean that is too. That is wicked clean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is wicked clean. I mean, it looks a little streaky, and that's all in the video capturing and any imperfections of a TFT display. That's all that. I mean, because like I said before, there's no loss whatsoever over the HDMI cable.
Right.
Or, and oddly enough, when you watch this video on YouTube that came out this morning, there are losses on those 4 SPI wires. So I found out that I'm seeing some glitches occasionally on this little display that I did not see on the breadboard. But on the breadboard, I didn't have these 10-inch long lead wires coming out of the board up to this little display. But anyway, when you look at this over HDMI, it's only limited by how well I emulated the palette 24-bit values.
Okay,
right?
Like the RGB lookup table?
And how good, the lookup table. How well I guessed or, chose those values, and how good my HDMI panel is. So it's just pure. It's whatever. It's digitally perfect. So, but the cool thing about this graphics mode here is that you're seeing some of the colors from color set 0 and some from color set 1.
Yeah, like that the dark blue shadow against the cyan. Those are 2 different color sets there.
Exactly.
And the fact you have dark blue next to white, that white is from. So even on it horizontally and vertically, it's changing the modes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one thing that was interesting to me, you can't quite see it on this. Are you seeing my mouse?
Yeah, we see your mouse.
When I point. Okay. So when you look at this on a on a large HDMI monitor,
Yeah.
you can see in the corners where maybe the switch over, the bit flip wasn't exactly perfect and round, and you can see a little yellow spot where they're flipping over to the other color set, and they probably wanted it to be dark blue, but it didn't come out as buff or dark blue. It's sort of like a yellow.
Okay, it's almost an artifacting. It's like a P Mode 3 artifacting you're getting there or something.
And it's not that, but it's like that.
Yeah.
But it's just because they're timing this in their interrupt routine, and they just switch over to the other color set, and they got yellow because they switched from color set 1 back to 0, maybe 1 pixel too early.
Right.
But as I understand what's going on here is the program is tied to the horizontal sync, so maybe they're counting after the horizontal
probably.
sync. Maybe they count cycles and then they flip the CSS hardware.
If I remember correctly, that is what they're doing.
Okay, and they're doing it up to twice and maybe sometimes 4 times per horizontal line.
That's insane. And it's
Yep.
it's such a crappy game too. You're wasting all this time.
All that work.
All this time and technology and sorcery on a crap game. So.
Right. And then the other game that I show next is Canyon Climber, because it's a great test of artifact graphics.
Right.
And you can't tell on this little screen here, but when you look at it on your monitor with HDMI,
Yeah.
you can see that the little dynamite sticks are pink instead of white.
Okay.
Okay, and you could see there's yellows in the trestle. It's not just, the trestles aren't just the 2 artifact colors. There's other colors showing up in there. And in my last week video, I went into a little bit of detail about the different artifacting modes.
Right, because this is the wrong colors
FPGA
for
is
now.
emulating.
Yeah.
Or is this the right color?
This is the
might be
wrong
right
color.
This is the wrong one.
This is the wrong one. It should be the red.
When
and
you
blue
get to
should
the
be flipped.
third screen, the sky should be blue.
Well, so on the there's stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage
Right.
1 was blue.
Right.
Stage 2 was orange-red, and then stage 3 is back to blue, isn't it?
No, because it's supposed to be canyons. So the stage 3, the rocks you're jumping on should be orange, like clay stone, and then the sky should be blue.
Okay, so this is the other color.
This is
set.
the opposite
Okay.
color set. Yeah.
And so what I've done is I have a little push button on the board where you could toggle through the different artifact modes, and you could switch from what I call it rich artifacts, simple artifacts, double wide bits, monochrome, and then you could switch to the other color sets.
So you just
swap blue for orange,
okay.
and then go back through the same 4 modes all around again.
Got a couple comments from the chat here. I just wanted to grab before they scroll up on me here. So Tom Eric Gunderson asked, if I should want one of these, how much are we talking for the prototype boards, etc.?
Oh, great question. I knew it would come up. What I would like to do is make a little batch at a time where we can get the cost down a little bit, right? Making them 5 at a time, this was a little pricey the first go around. It'd be great if we could order 10 or 20 or something and kind of share the burden.
Yeah. Count me in.
And okay, now so oh great, thanks Stevie. So JLC PCB assembled these for me, and they didn't have 2 of the critical surface mount components. So I need to work that out. So maybe build somewhere else.
Why not just buy? Why don't you buy one of those pick and play machines? It should be no problem.
Oh yeah, those don't come in Wheaties, do they?
No.
Actually, talk to me offline. I might have an offer for you on that. So.
Okay, I'll check with you. So the other thing is there are a couple of through-hole connectors to mount manually. So I don't know if people would want to just mount those themselves to save a little cost, or maybe we could go either way. Maybe maybe if I mount those connectors, I add a couple bucks or something.
Yeah.
But so anyway, it's going to be a lot less than $100.
Okay.
And I would guess, I would love if it would come in under $75, including the little HDMI adapter cable.
Okay.
Because what you're going to want to do is, you saw the little micro HDMI connector coming off at an angle on the corner. And that's because it's really challenging to make this fit in all the different versions of the CoCo 1 and CoCo 2 main board. So I looked at 2 or 3 of the different styles of my own and found a shape that would dodge all the bulk capacitors.
Okay.
And the one thing I couldn't get around is that in the oldest CoCo 2 that had the vertical modulator, you just have to go ahead and remove the modulator, because it's just you're in this little tight, you have some giant, I think you have the power supply over on the left and you have the RF modulator on the right, and you just don't have any room. So you just have to remove the RF modulator. Then you have the little corner mounted micro HDMI connector. And what I'm going to do is provide a little 12-inch cable, if you'd like it, to just relocate that out the back of the CoCo.
Right, so that becomes like a micro HDMI to like a normal HDMI female, so like a little pigtail dongle where you just have the socket on the outside.
Yeah, well, and you have options there. You could come out still, you could go micro male to micro female, and come out of the back with a smaller.
Oh.
Another goal of mine is to try to not have to mangle the back of the case too much.
Right.
So it looks like with the little micro connector, I think you can just
squeeze that through.
You can reuse
the hole from the RF can.
Yeah,
maybe even.
Yeah, I think you can use either one of those 2 holes from the RF can, and hopefully not have to make much of a. You may have to sort of round it out a little bit or square it up somewhat.
Right.
I don't like to force people to mangle their cases. So,
right.
But if you'd like, you could go from micro HDMI to any other size that you'd like, right out of the back. I mean, if you really wanted to go cheap, you could just go from micro HDMI straight to a 6-foot HDMI cable, but
just run the whole cable through, right?
You couldn't just connect the cable. Yeah, just run the cable out of the back. That would be your cheapest and simplest way to connect it to the TV.
Got a few other comments here too, so I thought I'd just get through them quick here. So Keith Cunningham suggested you could call it the CoCo DVI Max when it has sound.
Okay.
Karen says, and there's the fun delay between the CSS change and what gets rendered. He's talking about switching the color mode between, on the same scan like Dragonfire does. Ed Snyder says, interesting project. We ought not to do HDMI for a few reasons on the CoCo VGA earlier, but it shouldn't be too hard to add to a new version. And Retro Rewind CA, which is actually what I was going to talk to you offline about. I didn't realize he was in the chat there, but he's actually a manufacturer and he's got the PIC things as well. And he's up in Toronto, Canada. He does a lot of Amiga hardware, and he's actually been looking at getting into some CoCo project stuff for doing manufacturing for mass production. So if you guys want to talk,
okay, Retro Rewind. That's a new one for me. Okay, got it. I made some notes. Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah.
Ed Snyder also says I'd be willing to talk to you about helping with production.
Yeah, he's got one of the PIC things now too. So.
And
I saw that. That is amazing.
Oh wait,
what was that?
The Pick and Place.
Yeah, Pick and Place.
Yeah,
I think Retro Rewind can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I think his company that does the Amiga stuff has several of those pick and place things. So.
Now, but here's a question, and it has to be asked. And I'll be the one that asked it, but does it have a real-time clock?
I thought you were going to say toggle switch, Jason. So.
It kind of does, because it has to do that timing for Dragonfire, so it's got to have some sort of clock circuitry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's slave to the VSync. How about that? Yeah,
it's timing aware. Timing aware.
Yeah.
So.
It's timing aware.
It's timing tolerant.
So,
yeah.
It's timing tolerant. So if you have a real-time clock and you want to, come up with a crafty way of deriving your F-sync from that, then go for it.
Like I said, the colors look really nice.
Oh yeah,
that's just one of our running jokes.
Thank you. I'm glad someone mentioned T1. So there.
Yeah, that was another question I had, is because you obviously have to redesign the connector for the chip itself for that. If you're keeping the satellite.
I was checking with Brendan and to make sure that I was understanding all the differences between the original 6847 and the T1. So the T1, obviously, that's the later one that added true lowercase characters with descenders,
Mm-hmm.
and it added some more border modes. You can do a little bit
Inverse
more
video
with the border
and-
colors. Yeah. So I've already encoded the character set of the T1. So interestingly, the only place I could find, the picture of how to draw the characters that you you put into the ROM inside is in the T1's data sheet. So I made the T1 character set, and then I found out that, hey, things are shifted by 2 scan lines and
Yes.
some weird little details there. And
Yeah, they made room for the descenders, and it actually screwed up some of the old semi-graphics games like Protectors 2 that use those to draw waving
Yeah,
men and stuff because
yeah.
everything's shifted off.
So what you want to do is you want to default to the old character sets, so that all those things work, but have a way for the user to just toggle into the T1 mode and with lowercase if they want to. So that's another thing that I'm going to work through is how to allow the mode shift, and then how to save that configuration setting so that you're not always having to go every time you power up the CoCo, try to re-enter that.
Well, just how about we take a real quick survey here? How many people think that's important? I think that's a waste of resources trying to support that functionality myself. It's like if I was gonna, I'm ready to buy this right now. I'm not gonna say, oh wait, you're not supporting the T1, forget it, I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a deal maker or breaker. And if you have more important things that you have to cross off your to-do list, I would put this on the bottom myself. So.
Yeah, and a good point too. That's a good point made, because that's also just a software update. So that's the kind of thing that we could later say, hey, here's a new update, and just reflash with this new version.
I wouldn't get rid of the idea entirely, because if you're running an old sign level 1, for example, it looks so much nicer when you get true lowercase on the screen, so it'll let inverse video crap for lowercase. But it doesn't have to be high ranked in getting it ready, because you can get by without it.
Yeah. What's the other thing about the T1? The other thing about the T1,
the pinout is different of the chip.
That's it. So
yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Yeah.
There's something like, I think it's 6 of the data pins just get swizzled. So you need to wait to maybe set a little jumper or set a configuration somewhere in non-volatile memory, just to say this is a T1 or a non-T1 socket that we're fitting into. So yeah, that's work that's going to be coming up in the next weeks, but that's sort of more of one of the software kind of changes that I don't think shouldn't affect the hardware in any way.
Here's a real quick dumb question, but should this theoretically work in an MC10, which is also VDG based?
I would think so.
There's no SAM. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Oh, there's no SAM. So, so there may be there may be some tweaks for the spoofing mode, and I guess I would say, well, what does the CoCo VGA support right now? Does it support the MC10? It certainly does, right?
We've seen it done. Robert Sieg has done it. He's had to take the top off to get it to fit in there, but he has done it.
Yeah, and there's been a few dragons I've seen that have had the kind of hack arounds to get, like Steve mentioned earlier, the satellite board stacking up sockets type thing to get it out of the way of the other chips.
In the live chat,
what I don't know is if
Pilot's mentioning that the T1 controls RAM also on the VDG T1, I guess.
I don't know anything about that, so
okay.
T1 controls RAM. Okay, I'll have to dig into that.
I bet it's the refresh strobe.
The refresh.
Bet you Ed Snyder knows about it.
T1 controls RAM. Okay, I'll check that. That's something that I'm going to be testing.
He's saying the RAM is piped through the T1.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we need to get down that rabbit hole right now, though. But
yeah, so that could be a complication. So that's one of the things that needs to be tested and thought through. Yeah. Any other questions coming in from chat? Because I think this was the last picture that I needed to share here.
So I just have a kind of logistics question about the buttons right now, because I have a CoCo VGA and I love it. But I was actually asking Brendan, and by the way, his last name is pronounced Donahue, like with an E and not a Donahue, like Phil Donahue. Like right now, the way his buttons are, he's got a button that switches between the artifact modes and the reversing of the colors and stuff, but they're kind of situated in the back of the CoCo. And so in order to switch modes, you have to reach behind your CoCo to press those buttons, which logistically it just is not ergonomic or humanly, practical. So to me, in my opinion, the access to the buttons should be towards, closer to the keyboard. And I was thinking somewhere on the side of the keyboard, like under the lip or something like that, where you could just kind of reach around the side of your CoCo and just press those two buttons, not far away from the keyboard, but have them in a spot where you can't see them. So if you have to drill like two pinholes, they're facing down under a ridge that nobody would see, or something like that. But to me, the access to those buttons should be kind of ergonomically, intuitively sensible to how you do that while you're playing games or using your CoCo. Just 2 cents from me.
Yes, and it has the button board, and so I guess that will add a little bit of cost, and I wonder if people would care if it's sort of like, on the board, here's the jumper header where you can connect your button of choice, connect 2 wires here, and then remotely locate the button wherever you'd like to, and that way you could modify the case in any way you want. It's interesting that the first thought I had was to do exactly what you just said they did. I was thinking of, follow the HDMI cable out the back and put a couple of wires and a little button back there, or a button board.
Okay, and maybe I'm just being a little whiny diva, complaining about the fact that I have to reach all the way back there to do it. You know what I mean?
Or maybe just say, here are the pins on the main board where you pick up and you wire your buttons here.
Yeah, if somebody wants to tap into that,
locate them anywhere you'd like.
Yeah. So
that's fair.
It's not the end of the world, but
I got a question.
It would also sort of it would avoid adding some extra cost to everyone if not everyone wanted the remote board, or to didn't want to
it's kind of like what some memory boards have done, like where there's LEDs and switches on the memory boards where you could tap into them and make your own access to it if you want to.
Yeah.
Is it too hard to make?
There might be someone who wants to put a button in the location of the channel 3-4 switch, and then bring the micro HDMI out of the old RF output hole.
Right.
So they could do it that way, or Stevie, you could put a little hole in the bottom right side of the case over to the right of the keyboard and put a little button there.
Yeah.
Well, how hard would it be just to have a keyboard sequence, like a Control K or Control R, do those switches?
Well, we'll have to talk to a software person that knows. You'd have to have something running in. You'd have to load a little. I assume you'd have to have a little assembly program tucked away in RAM
CSR,
that would monitor for that. Okay.
Yeah, you'd probably have to do like a 3-key sequence, because in OS 9, most of the Control and Alt keys are already defined for built-in stuff on there. So we'd have to make it a fairly unique sequence.
But it could be done to have the keyboard do the switching.
It sounds like it could be done. The CoCo VGA does a lot of things in the vertical refresh time period, where it looks for
like new palette settings and
a combination. I think there's a combination lock sequence that you can open, and then you can do configuration type of things and mode change type of things, and then get in and get out, and you don't even disturb the video frame. So I think things like that would be possible, but I'm not there yet. But it would be, those would be things that a software person could help me out with in the future.
Right. Yeah, and I might be in the minority, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but it's I don't think that should be a deal breaker, and I don't think that should be a feature creep that would slow you down from just getting this thing to the finish line.
Yeah. I will mention Retro Rewind mentions, he says, although my CoCo hardware knowledge is a bit limited, could you not intercept keystrokes? He says he does it with the C64 and the Amiga all the time by intercepting the matrix via the connector, the keyboard connector itself. I'm assuming he's talking about there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Sure, you could monitor that. Yeah, right.
Like if you go like four certain pins or settings, that these 4 keys are simultaneously hit or something.
It's a little more convenient. I think it's more convenient hardware wise on the C64 because it's a 19-pin header, and you could put a little board in between the keyboard header and the board header. But with the CoCo, you have this flex ribbon.
Yeah.
And we don't want to muck with that, and we don't want to mess that up. So it would be a little harder to tap in on the CoCo's main board.
Okay.
Now, this has been 100% your baby right now, other than you're asking questions, but you've been doing all the designing and engineering and everything else. And
yeah, all the way.
That's amazing.
Thanks. It's a lot of hours of commitment, and it's taken a while.
So you're helping out is kind of gone a little overboard.
Helping out. Did I promise to help out?
Yeah. you've helped out.
Earlier
you said you were talking about helping out with Ed and Brendan.
I was hoping that they had that there was a board person ready to go, and that they just needed a little help with some testing so my
there is a guy named AC.
Yeah, there's that guy. We'll have to tap on him at some point. So
awesome work, man. I've seen your video too, and I think what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you very much. Well, then good. Well, so that's what I had to show. Didn't mean to take so much of your time.
No, that's fine. It's very interesting. It's completely interesting.
Make sure for the people listening here that haven't watched it yet, please watch his video on YouTube they released this morning that kind of gives the update on the project with some other details too.
Can we get Marco to throw that link out there in the live chat if he hasn't done so already, or just remind people of that link?
Yeah, I posted at the top of the segment, but I'll do it again.
Yeah, throw it out there again as we're closing that out. Thank you, Marco.
One other thing that someone might be able to help me out with is I've never sold a thing in my life, so I don't know. I really don't know how to. Logistically, how to put this up for sale. I was sort of thinking maybe, grab a server space for a site on Google Sites, right? And then maybe just have a order page and a link that sort of kicks you over to PayPal or something like that. That's about as far as my imagination could.
Well, there's people who
I can help you with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who have websites up already. So like Jason does, I know Ed Snyder does, I know Paul Fiscarelli does.
Oh yeah.
So there's a handful of people that are selling things through a few different services.
Plus, it depends if you decide to go with a partner for doing like a more mass manufacturing style thing. They might already have that set up as it is if they're being manufactured.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the least challenging part of all of this. Once you're ready to sell it, finding a way to sell online is pretty easy in the 21st century.
Yeah, you'll be swatting away the money like flies eventually. So.
I might be able to buy one of those Matchbox Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
No, my only hope would be that. By just building a few more in a lot that we could share the costs.
I'm pretty sure we can say with 90% certainty there will be dozens, if not hundreds, of people who would be happy to help crowdsource some of that financing for you, and I consider myself one of them. So I'm sure there's lots of people who would be more than happy to help share that burden.
Cool. That definitely helps because as you know, when you make the first 3 of a thing. Those 3 items can just be really expensive, and then there's all the hours of development, and then there's the future upgrades and support.
Right. And Jim Brain's another guy who's got a website that sells stuff too, so he'd be another person you could tap into when you're ready to do the whole. Yeah.
Now, for people who have technical questions or want to help you on the technical side of things, or just learn more about it, is there a certain Discord channel on the CoCo Discord that you've been using to discuss this thing, or that you think they should use?
There's really not one that fits it where I don't feel.
So maybe we need to make one.
Where I don't feel like I'm encroaching on some other. There's CoCo VGA that's similar, but I sort of felt bad.
There will probably be
there's general hardware, I guess.
Yeah, well, we should probably make a CoCo DV channel because this is now a project. Like there's a CoCo VGA channel, there's a Gimme X channel. So this is a project. This is going to be a product. It should probably have its own channel.
This will really help solve the CoCo Discord channels.
Yeah, we've been struggling with we've been struggling with ideas on how to come up with channels to talk about things, and so you're definitely helping us there.
There's not enough diversity of channels there.
No,
so yeah,
not at all.
definitely we need to add we could have about 10 more on this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone has any further questions, don't hesitate, send them my way. If there are like someone brought up that the T1 does this extra little thing. If you have certain test cases that, corner cases that are some of the things that would, need to work, let me know what, how to test for that. And that kind of help would go a long way to make sure that it has all the features it needs to have. And I would appreciate that.
Okay, so under memory and display, I'm doing it right now. So what do you want to call this one? CoCo DV?
CoCo, if that's descriptive enough for everyone to know what that means, or CoCo Digital Video, if you have room for the whole the whole word or whatever. Yeah.
Or CoCo HDMI or something. Yeah.
Okay, CoCo Digital Video. It's in there. It's in there. So you may Discord away.
Perfect. All right.
Hey, well, thanks for stopping by, Alan, and giving us that update and answering all the questions.
Sure thing. Thanks, Curtis. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, thanks for being here. Definitely appreciate that. And it's amazing that it seems like Sept Handy last year was almost like a renaissance, and new people coming to the community and coming to the hobby, and then bringing stuff. Just bringing the pain or bringing the thunder. Like we had Sloopy joined us not too long ago, and he had never owned a CoCo before. He's an Atari guy, and he's working on a Drive wireless Wi-Fi board and all kinds of other things. And you've come here and you figured out problems with the cassette. If only David Ladd could be here to share his enthusiasm, like how you found the waveform problem with the ROM settings and the cassette settings and stuff. And so this kind of new blood that's come in and just kind of kicked the door open and just brought so much value and excitement is something I never would have predicted. Every now and then I keep thinking, okay, when are we gonna plateau? When are we gonna hit the ceiling, and when do we start to nosedive again? And it just doesn't seem to happen. Just when you thought you've seen it all and imagined it all and it's all been produced, this new ideas and new things keep coming. It's awesome.
It's crazy. It's great that it's something you can never stop learning more about. So if I ever get through this, I want to learn more about assembly programming on the 6809. So.
Yeah.
This is a never-ending amount of things that you can do.
Yeah, and that's been big on my list, because I know I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, why don't we have HDMI? Because I didn't understand, and so now we're almost there, and so that's very, very cool.
As
stuff.
Nick Marentes is fond of saying, we kind of joke between each other for all the development we're doing on the software side, because we're constantly busy with multi-projects at the same time. We should have picked a deader computer, because then we'd have free time.
Far out. We've been joined by John Shawler of the Amigos Retro Gaming Group. Boatofcar is here. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Sorry, I've been away for a couple weeks, but I'm glad to be back. I picked a great week to come back. What an announcement.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do want to try to wrap the show up by 5 o'clock today, because I've got some home projects I have to work on that are not CoCo related. So we've got about an hour and a half left. So why don't we jump right into news, and then time permitting after news, then we'll try to handle project updates and acquisitions. So we're not going to take a commercial break. We're just going to keep the value added content just rolling. So L. Curtis Boyle, are you ready for news with L. Curtis Boyle?
I will first take a view from the panel here. If you guys want to vote, you got one game on news first or regular news first?
Get the regular news out of the way.
Well, okay, so we're going to do regular news. So we're not even going to do the infographic or anything else. Just jump into the news, Curtis. And now it's news with the L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay. Oops, that's a game. I don't want that one. Okay. Let me do the old screen share trick. You guys seen that?
We're seeing it.
Okay. So the first one is something I don't normally cover in news. I don't normally cover, people just buying a lot or whatever type thing. But this was a bit unique. Anthony Kelley, this past week, and he only got it for coffee money. The person was going to give this away completely for free, this entire set of CoCo stuff. And he kind of had to insist, take something. So he gave him what he called coffee money. So not much. And then basically
listen, coffee is like $8-9 a cup now. So come on.
Yeah. Well, does that look worth $8 or $9 to you?
No, not at all. Yeah. Audio spectrum analyzer right there. Boom. Sold.
Yep, and he's got a multi-pack. He's got a CoCo One with an HDL57 upgrade keyboard.
Look at that keyboard.
Parallels printer interface. He's got manuals. He's got cartridges, discs,
books. Got switches. What is that? A Botox switch now? A Botec switch? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's the parallel printer port for the.
Okay. We
printers.
got some deluxe joysticks. We got cables out the wazoo, cartridges, books, binders, floppy holders.
Looks like even the original warranty cards down there in the lower right.
Oh yeah, look at those. Some of the receipts and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck getting those serviced now, but.
Yeah, right.
He's got an appliance light controller there beside the joysticks.
Any battery of the month club cards in there by any chance? So.
Let me see here.
Cassette
this is another thing he got. He got a flatbed plotter printer with it. That's rare. That's not easy to get.
That weighs 4 tons.
Yeah, right.
I'm not.
You've got one of those, don't you, Ron?
I had one.
I had one, yeah. But I mean, that's a rare item just by itself that people would normally sell on eBay for hundreds of dollars, and he got this for, like he said, coffee money. Basically, he was offered for free the whole lot. I'm just jealous.
Look at all these binders: disc edtasm, disc script sit, color disc spectaculator, and disc graphics. MC6809 cookbook.
That's a tab book.
Look at
and
that.
the MC6809 programming manual down here on the right-hand side.
Color script set.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a wicked haul. So I wanted to point that out that prices of CoCo 3s in particular, but CoCos in general have been going up lately.
It's like
every once in a while you can get lucky.
I follow a lot of different groups, console groups and vintage groups and stuff like that. And every now and then you get these people that just show the picture of the haul. Oh yeah, I just got this today for $5. And you're thinking, yeah, I'm calling shenanigans on that claim. But every now and then it does happen. Where somebody just gets the mother load for nothing or next to nothing. Which
I view this as the equivalent of winning a lottery.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is...
And none of these items were filled with any type of soap powder?
No soap powder. Yeah. Ken, your brother says this just beat your Hamvention haul.
I guess it does, but does it beat the $5 CoCo 3 at VCF Midwest for $5?
Well, that
I
was
think
just
so.
Yes,
that pen plotter is probably worth as much as a CoCo 3.
Yeah, he's got like 3 CoCos in here and multi-pack. Yeah, I would say this is.
I would say it beats it.
The biggest bang for the buck we've seen in the 21st century, probably right here. So awesome.
Amazing.
That sounds like a challenge. Hold my beer, right? So yeah.
Does that mean you're giving away CoCo 3s for free, Jason? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, and then you notice here it says shared his first post, so it's like welcome to the Facebook group. Look at all the crap I got and you guys don't.
So many people have been looking at this stuff for years. I know I got it pretty well for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, cup of coffee. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're just all jealous there.
That's awesome.
I bought him at least 2 cups of coffee for that.
Roger that. All right. Awesome. Ken says we should ban him.
Next up, the CoCo crew released their 70th episode, so congratulations on the 70. They had an interesting interview with Kevin Phillipson and Michael Rywalt. I'm hoping I pronounced their names right, who did the Turbo 9 project we discussed on here about a month or 2 ago. They're kind of doing the emulated, not emulated, but FBJ version of the 609.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the rare times that the CoCo crews actually put out a video as part of the episode as a separate video, but it's linked to the Tech Talk.
Okay.
And it's a technique that I thought more people had done because I've been doing this for years myself. He's using Google Docs in this case. I use like LibreOffice or Excel, but you can basically paint with the background colors. You can paint the grids and basically design sprites and stuff, and then you can resize it with the zoom size and whatever to make it look like actual pixel by pixel, zoom it up type thing. So
I did my fonts for Cosmic Aliens this way. I just broke it down and made a spreadsheet with small grids and designed them that way. Yeah.
So it kind of struck me that maybe we haven't really mentioned this. Maybe some people haven't thought of doing this. So I mean, you can get spreadsheets for free.
Yeah.
that do this kind of background colors. You can actually match up the RGB values so they exactly match what will show up on the CoCo screen. So you can get the exact colors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a bit easier for you to do it this way in a modern machine versus trying to do it in Color Max or CoCo Max or whatever else on the original hardware, then this is an option for you. So he has a video kind of explaining it. He actually gets a little bit fancier too. He has the embedded values of the bit values for each of the colors to map on the screen itself too. I haven't usually done that myself. I usually just use it for design.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good idea. I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Visually makes it look.
Yeah. Anyway, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool way to do things. If people don't know about that technique, well, there's a nice 20-minute video explaining it.
Very cool.
Next up, Mike Provoncha has got his third video showing his progress with getting ICS calendars. These are the ones used by iCal and various modern platforms working on the CoCo over DriveWire, but he's now got it importing the events into the MultiVue Calendar app. So I'll just fast forward a little bit. There's MultiVue, one of his custom color sets that he did for us for EOU. And then he's got this, it's a set of utilities that get run together as part of a batch script with pipes and stuff. And it actually will allow you to either use saved calendars you've saved on your CoCo, say your CoCo SDC, or you can pull them over the web from DriveWire. And he actually shows in here, like he pulled in one calendar of holidays, but it didn't have all the holidays. So he found a second calendar to add the other ones. And then he actually imported that. And what it does is it'll merge them together, checks to make sure there's no duplicates. If there are, it strips them out. And he actually made a merged calendar that actually had all this stuff in it.
Ooh.
So, ahead here. Can't remember what that was. Yeah, so he's got he did some personal
Fred's
stuff here.
birthday.
So he did a few, his own birthday, basically. He did a few samples there of stuff you do within MultiVue. It's a calendar itself, and then he does the import ads. And you can kind of see in the background here, he's got the Lunar New Year.
President's Day, Ash Wednesday. Yeah.
So is
and
this
basically
going to
you
make
can
it
just bring these in, and if you live update a calendar on the web, or there's a calendar on the web that you're live updating, or if you have your own version that you do for your own internal home stuff, you can actually just drop it onto DriveWire and it'll bring it in. And one nice thing he showed on here, I won't play the whole video, but go watch it, is that the MultiVue calendar does live, like OS9 allows shared files. So he had the original calendars imported, and then he'd show a certain month and it would show a couple of items on it. Then he'd import another calendar. All he had to do was switch months and go back, and then the calendar would automatically refresh it. So you didn't even have to quit the app, and you could actually get the updated calendar events. And what he's working on now is he's actually going to be setting it up to be able to handle alarms. So you can actually have timed events, not just all day events like he has now. And you can actually have the OS9 system actually start beeping an alarm to tell you, this is starting in 5 minutes. So you can actually have like live, actual reminders and stuff like you have on modern smartphones, etc., with audio cues.
So Curtis, I apologize if you mentioned this. Is this going to be in the next version of EOU?
It depends how far he gets before our deadline at the end of April. So we're going to try to get as much of this. Like he's got a newer version of Calendar that will be included on EOU for sure, as well as the very newest control panel he did. The far as the ICS sharing, if he's got it far enough along that he's comfortable with it, then yes, it will. Otherwise, it'll be released on the next one after that.
It'd be nice if you can get it to push the updates.
Like back, if you made them in MultiVue Calendar and then send them back to your PC or Mac or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. How are you getting the calendar over to the into the CoCo?
Well, basically, it takes the ICS files themselves and it just imports based on that. So you can download that onto the CoCo locally and just run it locally, so you're not on the net at all, or you can go over the DriveWire.
Okay, so Frederick just responded, says, "I don't think I'll be ready for the next version of EOU."
Okay, we'll have the new version of Calendar, so you kind of get a sneak preview.
You need to come on the show sometime, Frederick. Love to have you.
Yeah, Fred, you do.
Yeah, and everybody's welcome to join the show too, even underachievers like me. That's cool. Yeah, we let John Laury on here. What the hell has he ever done? Cool stuff. Yeah.
And he does say yes, you potentially could push updates, and sure, he'll be on the show. So maybe when he's ready to demonstrate the final one of the one that getting as far as he wants, or maybe even with the push stuff in there, we'll get him on to kind of demonstrate it and explain it.
Neat.
Next one up, Brian Schubring did this is one of the longest teaser videos I think I've ever seen in my life. So he said this is a teaser of his MIDI setup preview. Like we kind of talked, he was going to do that series on his MIDI hardware.
Yeah.
And I don't know if 20 minutes qualifies as just a teaser. It's a pretty long teaser. But anyway, is Brian still on the call? Because you can just kind of do a quick summary of what this video is and what's coming up.
Am I coming through?
You're coming through, Brian.
Yeah, you're low.
How low?
Is that
can
better?
You go? It's good enough.
Yeah,
Good
go ahead.
enough. All right. Yeah, it's just I know a lot of the folks out there, here on the show and then also on the other videos, kind of got little teasers of seeing the stuff in the background and whatnot. And I just wanted to kind of show, exactly what I have, and I actually made it a little bit more presentable. I had that little chart. If you go a little bit forward, yeah, right there, and that's basically all the equipment that I've got over here to the side.
And is your wire management just as neat in the actual space as this diagram here is?
It's getting better. Let me close a couple windows here and switch here. There we go.
Oh, do you want me to stop sharing so you can show this?
No, don't worry about it. Ignore. Yeah, no, I've got it, and that just shows what I have in the rack, and in the mixer, how I got everything hooked up, so that there is a logical presentation of how I have my system right now hooked up, and pretty much why. It gives me a lot of flexibility for doing certain things. And that, so that I can have an input either from a keyboard, regular piano keyboard, from the CoCo, from my PC, and as being shown here, I was showing VCV rack, which is actually just single channel, but because of the you can make it as complex as you want. You can have multiple inputs, so you can have each distinct channel. So you can simulate polyphonic in that, but it'll still only do one note at a time for each channel, and it's a free software in that, so you can set everything up.
Oh my God! Look at this patch panel going on.
Yeah, I had to put that together on the fly, literally in a matter of like an hour, or heck, not even an hour. I just simply copied one of the ones there and just I did something a little bit different with a different patch panel that I found, and just put something together, and it just creates different sounds. And I just simply took and did Mr. Ed TV show theme, and just to kind of simulate. And I did somewhere. If you want to play that, you can kind of everybody can hear it.
You know whereabouts the audio starts?
Yeah.
Do you play it in the video here? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did.
Was it back there where you had all the patch panel stuff?
Yeah, it's.
Can you get through that?
Yeah. I like the visualization.
Anyway, yeah, that gives you more of an idea. I've just got.
You're an animal, Brian. You're just a freaking. You're a music machine, man. You're a music freaking machine, dude.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of put it out there that hey, you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't, and as long as you got just the basics, and that you can use software like that if you have a PC. It doesn't matter if it's a Mac, Linux, or Windows.
Mm-hmm.
That software will do it, and it's free. And that, so I just want to kind of put it out there and say, hey, here's another option for you. You don't have to have a keyboard.
And this is still controlled by the CoCo, though. Like the CoCo's generating the MIDI, and the Windows.
Now, is that real? Is that real hardware? Or is that an emulated?
That's emulated.
Okay, so the emulated CoCo running Ultimuse is talking.
No, that's the real CoCo.
That's the real CoCo. Okay,
that's the real CoCo.
So you have a real CoCo talking to an emulated keyboard running on your PC, and then it's doing the MIDI over drive wire to that PC.
No, not through DriveWire. It's direct through the USB.
USB to MIDI cable.
Yes, exactly. I have.
So you don't have to buy an actual synth if you don't have the money for that. You just
you don't even
download the free software. You get the adapter cable, and you're ready to go.
USB MIDI
this
cable.
Is similar to,
and is that
this is similar to what? I'm sorry, Steve.
Is that the DINs, like the MIDI DINs that are coming out of the USB port? Okay.
Yeah. It's just a what I have is a MIDI Sport. It's an older one. It's USB, has 2 in, 2 out, and that, so because you have to keep them separate, otherwise you get a loop if you try to go in and out on the same channel. So it can kind of get a little goofy in that if you're trying to do too much on the same port, unless it can separate the in and the out exclusively, and some ports don't do that very well. So, but otherwise, yeah, it's just an example of some of the stuff that you can do. And the sounds, I didn't tweak the sounds too much on that. But you can get some pretty weird sounds if you really wanted to.
No, that's really neat. Yeah, and this is in the newsletter too, by the way. So thanks for sending me that link to your channel. I'm making sure we're letting everybody know.
And then this is going to be the start of a series of videos on explaining how to do this kind of stuff too. So keep your eye on his YouTube page here for.
And the comments are now turned on, folks.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me know I was there.
Yeah, no problem.
How could you let them know the comments weren't working if you couldn't leave them a comment?
Mind control.
I'm psychic.
There you go. Barry Nelson.
Yeah, so this is it's a fairly simple machine language routine to detect if you have a 609 or a 609 CPU, but for people that don't program in a assembly language, it's not that easy. So just to give a quick thing, if people want to check to make sure they've got a 609, because especially some of the people that have been buying 609s have been getting burned that they're basically 609s remarked when they're ordering from China. So this is a quick way. You can just download this disk image from the CoCo group on Facebook that Barry Nelson wrote, and it'll just tell you, do you have a 609 or a 6809 installed?
Is that the old one that's in the utilities section?
This is one he just uploaded.
This is something he wrote in BASIC. So,
yeah.
Well, isn't the other one is BASIC too, I think.
Well, what is it? When you first boot, Sockmaster did one? Okay.
Wait, there's another one now.
Yeah, and then because I know when you first boot up the CoCo SDC, does it tell you if you have a 6309 as well? But that's not BASIC that does that, right? I don't remember. I know it tells you if you have a CoCo 3 or not. It does?
It does tell you, yeah.
Okay. No, but it's neat to know. Matter of fact, and that I don't know if you have this queued up, but that leads into a question that was posted on Facebook this week. Like, hey, I think it was Michael Pitsley or somebody says, I bought a tube of 6309s. I got like 10 of them. And what's the good, bad, or indifferent of putting a 6309 in a CoCo 1 or 2? And that discussion took place, and I think it was about half and half.
I was actively involved in that discussion.
Yeah. Okay. So you set the record straight. Hopefully.
Yes. There is advantages. I mean, other than the fact that it runs at 10% the power and runs cooler, which means you're not overheating the rest of your chips in your system because you're not getting ambient heat, is that there is Nitrous 9 level 1. Now, one thing I did discover is that apparently the Nitrous 9 level 1 609 version, which is optimized for faster graphics and text and the whole system, basically. Basic 9 is also optimized as well. That one is not on the official download site. It's on the nightly builds, even though it hasn't changed in years. And it's stable. I mean, we did the CoCo VGA drivers for it. Also, if you have a CoCo VGA, the 609 definitely speeds up the 64 column by about 200%. So there's definitely reasons for that. And plus, I mean, there's more and more games getting converted to 609 or enabling native mode and stuff too as we go through and patch some of the older ones. So there'll be more software coming out. But there is half a dozen to a dozen games now that can use a 609 on a CoCo 1 or 2. And Nitrous 9 level 1 does have a native 6309 version that runs faster all the way across the board. And that's available on the repositories on the GitHub.
Yeah, and when you did some of your game optimizations, you did some where you just optimized them, but weren't there some that were optimized for 6309 on the CoCo 1 and 2 too? That sped up the
more
scroll?
have been optimized for 6309 than the 6809. There's more 639.
Yeah, okay, and I think I tried some of those. Like, wasn't one of them the Akari Warriors type game? Was that one of them?
Yes, Russian Assault, Gantlet.
Yeah,
Marble Madness,
and that was just real quick optimizations you did. You didn't so
they were patched in place.
The potential to gain,
but some of them are literally Color Car Action's another one. I mean, some of them are literally running 2 to 3 times faster than
in skiing. You did skiing too, right? Where you like doubled the frame rate on that and made that, or not the frame rate, but you doubled the frame.
The
was
rendering
locked.
speed, so it looks smoother.
Yeah.
It's frame locked, that particular one, so it doesn't run faster, but it runs smoother. The graphics look smoother. And there'll be more of those coming once I get some time to.
Right. So it's probably an easier question. Is there any reason not to put one in?
The only one we hit is that one game on challenge where there was an illegal instruction, which was the 609's air trap.
That was the Death Trap tank game, right?
Was it? I can't remember.
That one? I don't remember.
Was it Grabber maybe?
It was Grabber. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And there's one other one, I think Bugs 2, which we haven't had the game on challenge, but that's one that also had an illegal instruction, which actually looks like that was because somebody, when they cracked the game protection off of it, they screwed up on the 609. They just got lucky. It skips over the bad instruction. The 609 trapped it. It wasn't part of copy protection. It was a bad dump, basically.
Okay.
But we patched it, and that works now, too. So.
Ben Drakes has joined us, Explorer VR. Hey, Ben.
Also, I'll mention in the comments there, Fred Provoncha is working on that ICS import for MultiVue. He said pushing updates online is a feature planned for further down the line. So he is planning on supporting both push and pull of live calendar dates.
Okay.
Okay, next up. This is a new one, a new channel to me, the Myrkhouller Brothers. And he did a quick video called 80s Technology Adventure. So he's definitely more of a modern person, but he actually broke out the old CoCo 1 here, or CoCo 2, sorry. Hooked it up to an old CRT TV, which makes it kind of unreadable. But he just kind of goes through and gets, basic running, kind of explains that, basics built in. You can just power it up. He actually demonstrated saving and loading to a cassette as well. And then he actually, at the very end, he drew their little logo in Mode 3, which is kind of hard to see on the TV.
That's cool. That's
just
cool.
interesting that another new channel that discovered the CoCo and decided to whip out a quick little video on using it. And he mentioned the fact
quick, let's file a copyright strike against them. Quick.
Yes. Anyway, pretty cool. So he's kind of new to the CoCo scene, so I'll try and get in contact with him and see if we can maybe get him on the show, or kind of discussing how he got into the CoCo and stuff.
Cool. Ooh,
Next
look
up
at
after
this.
that,
Look how clean that is.
Yeah, this is Robert Sieg. This is his MC10, so I'm assuming at this point he might be running on. He's the one who has the CoCo VJ hooked up to his MC10.
Could be
right?
that or a
So
super
that might
clean
be-
composite mod.
I'm guessing this might be the VJ. This looks even cleaner than
That
the
is
composite. from what I
gorgeous.
can see. So this is another update to his 24-bit BMP to MCX32 128 by 96 by 4 color, basically P Mode 1 MC10 graphics converter. And this is one he's been gradually speeding up as we've been progressing through the last couple of months. And I think he started at 6 hours per render. Now he's got it down to about 25 minutes a screen. And then this is also where he's using the MCX to be able to fast load the screen.
Okay.
So he's actually showing, basically he took the same image and he re-rendered it with different brightness levels to bring it out in the 4-color mode.
Okay.
So he kind of cycles through a few of these here to show you what the different screens look like. But this is loading off the MCX32, so you can see how fast that can load as well.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
You can see going through the different brightness levels as it brings it forward
Yeah.
and back. But that MCX loads pretty fast. So, I mean, you can
Oh,
actually
yeah.
do like a live video type thing like we've done on the CoCo before.
Yeah.
On an MC10. That was pretty cool.
He's doing some amazing things, that Robert Sieg.
Yeah, I mean, he literally is giving Jim Gerrie some competition. He does the more serious things, of course, not just games, but cool stuff. We'll get into another the MC10 game in the game section here. But and this was more of a question on the Dragon group, but it wasn't something I was overly familiar with too, so I'm glad it got commented on. What's the difference between a Dragon 64 and a Draco 64? Have you guys heard of the Draco 64?
I know the answer to this one. The Draco doesn't have an N after the O.
Thank you for your illuminating tech talk there, Stevie.
I believe the Draco 64 also turns into a bat.
It wants to suck your blood, blah, blah, blah.
The Transylvanian.
I'm surrounded by
version of
morons.
the
I'm sorry,
dragon.
folks.
And wouldn't it be pronounced Draco, technically? But is it just
At any rate, basically what it does is it converts a Dragon 32 into a CoCo. And you can make it switchable. So it switches the ROM, and it also remaps the keyboard on the fly when you do the switch. So you can actually run CoCo-specific software in the Dragon, or Dragon-specific software on the Dragon. So it opens up the library without, on a lot of keyboard-based games, because of the keyboard mapping is different on the PIA, you might hit a J key and you get a F or something instead. So this basically solves that problem, which I didn't know that existed really. So that was kind of cool.
So you're saying that the Draco is a CoCo mod, so like Dragon CoCo, Dragon CoCo?
Yeah,
Is that,
and it's both.
a mashup?
It's not like I've seen some other people do projects where they've replaced ROMs and swapped the keyboard wiring to make it operate like a CoCo, so you can take the Dragon hardware with nice keyboard.
We have a few other some theories here from live chat. So Ken Reichert says the Draco, like Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, says it's powered by Slytherin magic, right? And then Daddy Burrito says it's a specialized hardware to run the old Draconian games.
So a cool project. 'Cause like I said, I've seen people do I think Henry Rightfield did one where he put a special ROM and a special keyboard connector into the Dragon to make it run like a CoCo. But this is a switchable one that you can just switch it between the two whenever you want. So you want to play a Dragon native game with the native keys without having to reprogram it. There you go. Now I want to play a CoCo specific version with CoCo specific keys. Just flip the switch and you're done.
I'm a Dragon.
So
I'm a
theoretically,
CoCo.
you could do the same, obviously, in the CoCo itself. If you want to play some of the Dragon games that haven't been, ported over for the key sequences and stuff.
Now, what would the catchy name for that one be? We already got the Draco for the Dragon CoCo.
CoCo and Drag, I would call it.
CoCo and Drag. Okay, we'll have to work on a catchy name for that project. Okay.
So anyway, that's the end of the regular news. So do you want to do a break?
No breaking. We are just going full speed ahead. Mr. Sulu, Warp Factor 9.
Hold your bladders, everyone.
That's it. We're going to ludicrous speed before we hit plaid. So keep it rolling, L. Curtis Boyle, with Game On news.
Okay. Where is my Game On?
The world needs to know what's going on in the world of CoCo gaming. They skipped this crap. Also in the newsletter.
Okay, so first up, we've got the second blog entry for 0 Hour by Nick. And Nick, rather than me spout on about it, do you want to just quickly update us on what was new?
Yeah, just the second chapter. Basically, the level design is what I cover here. So I spent a fair bit of time creating the tiles that the game will use, and then the level editor, which I wrote in BASIC, allows me then to create the levels of each level and therefore design the game. So no actual code as yet. So nothing's actually running as far as the game's concerned. It's all the design and planning stage at the moment. The screenshots there show the little level editor that I wrote.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time going through the levels, of which there is 13 different levels I've done. So I've tried to get a bit of a mechanical look to each of the screens.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a donut factory.
Yeah, well, it's a mashup between my Donut Dilemma and my Rupert Rhythm, actually, this game.
In
So,
Nick's case,
yeah,
it's a money factory because every game he makes just makes him money. So yeah.
Actually, that's not far off because there is a casino in here. So
okay.
But have you created the title screen already?
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, the graphics for it anyway. But so a lot of the levels, like Curtis was saying there, are a bit of a mini game in themselves. That's what I've tried to do. So I've spent a lot of time designing that. And breaking news, next week I'll have the next chapter up. So I've actually got code running now that will show off the background. Well, the backgrounds will be drawn up in the machine code now.
Okay.
But there's also a special effect I keep harking on about, teasing about, that I'll be showing off next week, hopefully, in the show.
Nice.
So this is going to run on CoCo 1, 2, 3, MC10 all together?
Well, if you can find a way of displaying 16
as long as they're all spelled CoCo 3, Ron, you're right.
That's right.
It's CoCo 3 only.
Yeah, CoCo 3, 512K.
And it's not 6309 based?
It will be both.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
and there will be some differences between the two. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it'll run a bit better on a 6309, but it will run on a 6809 as well.
There you
Anyway,
go.
on any CoCo you like, as long as it's a CoCo 3 with 512K.
That's right.
That's right.
Now, have you gotten the new gimme to make sure that you can run it in the 2.68 or whatever it is megahertz?
Well, it should work, but I haven't got the. I don't have.
I'll test that for you, Nick, if you need that tested.
They're not being sold as yet, so.
They're just about ready.
I won't go into more details. Watch this space next week. I'll try put a video together that will demonstrate what I've actually got running so far.
Yeah, I've actually seen it running, and it's pretty cool.
Oh,
so.
we do have a question from the live chat from Ken Reichert. He wants to know, will your game access WeFax?
We should make WeFax part of the calendar, and then you can actually have your weather reports live on the date too.
Yep.
Only if it has a real-time clock.
Time to check the WeFax. Okay, so.
But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, we got you anyway.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay, next up, Paul Shoemaker's put up a couple graphic demos. Now, if you remember a couple months ago, Paul released his Poker Squares, which was a CoCo 3 card game with some really nicely drawn cards that I stole and put into EOU with his permission. And hopefully somebody will have some time to work with those card sets because I just haven't had time to work on card games. But now he's kind of backporting some animated card sets with ML routines for the CoCo 1 and 2, so you can actually do some fairly decent ones. So he's got a couple of videos. This was his first one where he's just first demonstrating it running.
Nice speed. Nice look to it. Kind of stylized. Got a shine on the black surfaces there, and even on the hearts.
Nice hard outline so you can see the card. Sorry,
This is 52 pickup.
52 pickup, right?
That's what Alan Huffman said too.
Yeah. It looks really good and the speed's good.
So this is the newer version here. What is that?
Great background music.
How I learned 52 pickup is my father brought a deck over to me and he says, you ever play 52 pickup? I said, no. He goes, here. And then he made him, fly out of his hand.
Now, was that before or after he said, pull my finger?
No, none of that.
So on the second one, he tweaked the card graphics a little bit, not too much, but just to make it a bit more standout-ish and separate the cards a little bit better. But,
okay.
And then he did another demo, which I apparently didn't put in here, but he actually just had the cards kind of drawing across at different speeds to see how fast they would render. They could go fairly slow, fairly fast, I think. So he's got a lot of speed in the engine.
I wonder if he'll be able to do the classic Windows cascade.
Yeah, the bouncing cards.
Yeah, that's pretty easy actually, because basically it just means you don't restore the background. You just overprint the thing and put it in the sign table.
Still visually impressive though.
Yeah, and it's a great great GPU test to see how fast you can make those cards bounce. All right, let's see it. Press the button, Frank.
Yeah, that's part of the Crisis update here. So let's see if this is the right. Yeah, here's the other.
This is the new one. Okay. Load M.
Switch to the high def so you can see better.
Okay.
So he's made the actual letters and numbers.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's very stylized.
And he's made it so the actual suits are a lot larger too. And he's got his little text generator at the bottom. You can see it speeds up. You can see how fast you can get going.
Yeah.
CoCo 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, this is really nice. Just think of how good this would look on AC's new CoCo digital video.
Oh yeah, just pristine.
That is cool. And Paul Shoemaker, he's always surprising us.
Yep. Next up, we have Erico. Of course, he's been working on his Semi-Graphics 4 fighting game. So these are running it very fast because he made an animated GIF. So this is not the speed that they're running, but he wanted to show a couple of the different moves. And I'd have to get him to explain what all his numbers on the bottom here mean. You can see some of the little demos of jumping moves.
Yeah.
Both people jumping, etc.
Looks like an ant farm.
The upper right one, I like it because they look like they battle each other after they get close to each other and stuff. And middle right, they got the jump kicks and stuff too. So it's amazing what you can do with 64 by 32 with.
Yeah, this has inspired me to do something. So I haven't had a chance to work on it yet. So, but I'm inspired to do a little SG4 thing. So hopefully I'll make some progress on that soon.
Cool. Next up, we have Darren Ottery. Now, he mentioned his game Dropship last time with some screenshots. This time, he's actually got some good gameplay, which actually I think is a bit more impressive.
Oh, and Erico just chimed in. He says, I'm working on this.
Do a quick playthrough of
doing the kicks now.
Dropship. I was thinking, not everybody has.
So this is for Nick mainly because this is a rival Australian game developer now. So
game without it, it makes quite heavy use of the anyway. You kind of go into lead.
I can understand this
guy. Screen with the instructions going by, but we won't sit there. And
not about it. Little semi-graphics intro screen.
Yeah.
here we go.
Looks like a guitar. Okay, so
Kinda
this is
reminds
kind
me
of
of Seamus a
Seamus.
little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Where
Yes.
power is running
very
down,
Seamus-like.
That's in the top right. So you have
And this is in
as
basic?
you go to different rooms, you'll find
Yep.
that there's different.
Moves very fast.
Yeah.
You can access energy.
Yeah, did a good job for basic, I have to
or
say.
power.
Why do you think the screen has to, the background has to
replenish the
flash
supplies
like
and
that?
the-
Do you think that
on
that's
the
a
left
result
there
of the
is the items.
programming?
He's doing that on purpose.
That's on purpose.
So you
Yeah.
picked up
Okay.
along the way.
Yeah, there's two different color sets for the semi-graphics mode for the text part. There's a green background and a red background, so he's just basically flashing between them. He's got his little animated bats, but the game gets quite diverse later on. Like,
Oh,
here.
look at this thing here.
Wow.
That looks like David Ladd.
So this is us defending the outside of our mothership.
Oh, look at that. Look, he's
It's
got
like demon
multiple
attack.
shots.
Yeah.
Multiple shots.
Yeah. Kind of a demon attacks type thing. So he's got a couple different game elements. He's got a Seamus type part of the game. He's got a demon attack style part of the game. So it's actually quite diverse.
I love games like this. Games
Yeah.
that give you sort of
Yeah.
multiple games. In
Yeah,
one.
like genre
Yep.
benders.
You can get a bit of a run on sometimes.
Even that the scores go up on the screen after you hit them too.
We don't want that to happen more than.
And he must be using the play command or something because he's definitely getting non-sound command sounds out of the MC10.
Yeah, he's running the MCX, which has that extended basic
Yeah.
kind of for the MC10. So
Mhm. And it's a button masher.
here's some more. Of the
Yeah, this
Seamus
is really
style.
cool. I want to try this. I've actually got my MC10s like 3 feet away from me, so this is on
And
my
he's-
list of things to do.
And he's using the MC10 keyboard.
Yep.
Yeah, no choice on an
Yeah,
MC10.
that's a challenge.
There's no Ed Snyder keyboard for the MC10.
Not yet.
I like this little mechanic here. If you want to recharge the power on your ship, it actually says the words power, and you have to eat that with
Yeah.
your ship as you're traveling across to charge yourself up.
I want
was
to see
kinda cool.
someone repack their MC10 into like a CoCo 2 case or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, you can fit the CoCo VGA in there and everything else. So.
Now, I will mention one thing. In the comments section here, he actually put a second video that actually shows the end of the game because you can actually win it. I'm not going to play that because you guys should go play it in an emulator or on real hardware.
Real hardware. Well,
Not
I don't know
spoil
if you
it,
can.
so-
I don't know if you can emulate the MCX32 right now.
Oh, that's true. I do
Yeah.
think you can. So you wouldn't need a real MC10 at this
Yeah.
point. So
Yep. I'm not bragging.
anyway,
but
it's a
I
really
got 'em.
cool game, and we've shown screenshots, but I haven't seen much of the gameplay. And the gameplay actually looks pretty diverse and fun. So. Next out, Jim Gerrie returns, and this is another one called Closeout, and it's from an original Vic 20 version from Compute Magazine from March of 1983. I don't know too much about the game, unfortunately, so I'll just fast forward a bit here. If you understand what's going on here, you can explain it to me. I think those are ladders.
Great. And
White
so
parts.
I'm assuming you're eating all the different colored dots, and yeah, those are the ladders, and you get different symbols of things. Other than that, it's very confusing and overwhelming.
Colorful though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that game.
Okay,
Unfortunately.
so the-
Boat, you haven't fiddled with that particular game on the Vic 20 before, have you?
The game is
I
called Closeout.
I haven't seen this one before. No.
Okay. I mean, go check it out. He's got it for download only on his page, like everything else he's got. Next up, Trey Tomes is actually asking. He says, "I'm slowly building up the need to work on a major CoCo-based software project," and he kind of hints, a game. And he was looking for some ideas. So people are giving him, ports from other systems, or trying to come up with original stuff type thing. So if anybody has any suggestions of a game they'd like to see somebody who's probably not completely up on their ML, but is definitely learning enough to get going, that a nice game that maybe you haven't seen before that nobody's ported, or an original idea, maybe give them some suggestions on the Facebook comments.
What is the rogue of record on the CoCo?
The Rogue type game, you mean?
Yeah.
Rogue, the
Yeah.
actual official port.
We have Rogue on OS 9.
There's a few others that are semi-close, like Telengard, which is another port that's on multiple systems from Avalon Hill. Of course, there's the Ultima style games like Seventh Link and Gates of Delirium, Paladin's Legacy. So it depends on, I guess, Caladriel Flame of Light 1 and 2 might be sort of roguish.
Did you
Depends
guys
what
ever
you're-
play Stratego?
Pardon me?
Did you ever play
Stratego.
Stratego. The
Yeah,
card
I played
game?
Stratego all
For
the time.
real or on a computer?
I'm just saying. I know there's a computer version of for.
I've never played the computer
Windows, but I wonder if there's a similar type game on.
I'm not familiar with that
CoCo.
game. What exactly is that?
It's kind of like chess. You have an army on each side, and there's the flag, and you put bombs around the flag. They're little characters, and you have all different soldiers, and they're all worth different points. And you move a turn at a time. And one set's red, one set's blue.
Okay, so it's like an advanced chess. Is that what it's kind of like?
Well, it's not really. It's sort of a simple game. The idea of it is that you're trying to fake your opponent out. So it's a rock paper scissors affair where you've got every piece has a numeric value. So when a 7 goes up against an 8, the 8 will always win. But there's exceptions like the spy, who if the spy is attacked, it will always lose. But if it attacks any piece, it will win.
Now, would that not make a great game?
Yeah, it would be a really fun board game conversion for the CoCo, because the logic is not complex. So it wouldn't be a strain on either coding the AI or the CPU or anything like that. I am sort of surprised. I don't recall a Stratego. I'm sure that it has been released for Windows or whatever, but it never really made an appearance on any of the classic computers that I'm aware of.
Sounds like it'd be a good target for it, though, for all of them, actually, for all the classic computers.
You know how some games have both sides played by computer?
Yeah.
That could work too.
Yeah, like a demo, like what they did in Castle Guard or whatever. The computer played itself. Yeah.
Or that chess game Jim Gerrie just did, where he said they don't play very well, but they played against each other.
Yeah.
I used to play Stratego all the time.
No, and I like that Trey is like asking for input, but I think this becomes a slippery slope too, where now you have this design by committee feature creep scenario, and everybody wants to,
It's okay if you need a launching pad of ideas because you just can't think of anything yourself.
But at some point
you should
in time,
choose your own path at some point.
Yeah. Once you make that choice about what kind of game you're going to make, you need to close up and just sort of blaze your own.
And my suggestion, if anybody, not that anybody cares about my suggestion, but you're going to get it for free anyways. But if you wanted to make a piece of software or a piece of hardware, I would say just make the thing that you would like to use. So if you want to make a game, make the game that you want to play. Don't worry about if this is the game the world's looking for. Just make the game that's going to be fun for you to make, and more importantly, that this could be a game that you would want to play when it was done. And take that approach. And then, like I say, if you build it, they will come. But if you want to have the whole world help you design it ahead of time, you're never going to get it anywhere. And I'd say that's true for hardware too. Like what AC just did with his digital video, he didn't say, "Hey guys, what do you think? Should I make this, or what features would you like to see in it?" He just did it, And Ed Snyder does that. He doesn't say, "Hey guys, should I make a keyboard?" He makes a keyboard. He makes an MPI. You know what I mean? So, make the thing that you want to make that serves a need. Like John Delvaux always say, scratch the itch, right? So if you got an itch you want to scratch it, and then just make it.
And we did that with the OU too, because we took it in some directions that some other people, weren't that keen on. Others were keen on it. We basically, Bill and I just decided what we're doing is what we wanted to do, and if you like it, great. If you don't, that's great too. That's
if you build it, they will come.
Right.
And if you're making a game, if you're making a game there, just if you make code one that will frustrate Stevie even more, that's just a bonus added. That's just added value.
Well, that should be one of the core design goals. I think.
I'm making
Ron, go ahead.
AI. I'm making an AI host for CoCoTALK.
There you go.
Yeah, he's never gonna rage or anything.
Okay.
She.
Perfect.
So at any rate, if anybody has any suggestions, just to give him a launch pad, as Stevie said, just to get some ideas out there, but let him design his own game based on that, like a certain genre or something you think is underrepresented in the CoCo, then please make some suggestions on his Facebook post.
There you go.
If you create an Elijah level AI for CoCoTALK, you've got our host beat already.
I'm sorry, you can't talk like that.
Tell me about your childhood.
You're mute.
How does that make you feel?
Infocom.
Yeah, so next up, Noriko Miyagami, who's been going through Tier City Model 1 and 3 and CoCo versions of all the Infocom games. This time around, it does a complete playthrough of Zork 3, the last of the Zork series that the CoCo saw. So, and she goes with her normal, great attention to detail, does some comparisons between the various versions, but it basically will win the game so you can actually see how to solve it as well. So she does these playthrough videos, once every week or two, depending on how fast you can get through it and comparing the versions. So it's an excellent series she's doing if you're into the text adventure classic games of the Infocom days, which includes stuff like Hitchhiker's Guide and Planetfall and Witness and the Zorks and a whole bunch of other stuff. So,
that we have so much memory now. Why couldn't someone just string a couple of these together?
Well, Zork actually, Zork 1, 2, and 3 is basically the original mini mainframe version of Colossal Cave kind of broke down into smaller chapters to fit it on 8-bit micro. So yeah, you're right. You could kind of recombine them into the one big game again.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, next up, since Boat's here, I'll let him explain this, and I'll just play it with mute in the background.
So this is Springster, as I'm sure you guys know. Springster is a game that I was not aware of on the CoCo. We were looking for a game for our next episode of the CoCo Show, and I just kind of came across this randomly. This is a really unique, fun game. I don't know if this is this one? I mean, do you guys all know about Springster? Is this like a game everybody's played? Okay, so this is a CoCo 3 exclusive. It doesn't really, I mean, there are some games like Rampage that just scream like, yeah, this had to be done on the CoCo 3. I don't really consider this to be one of those games. I mean, I realize that there are more colors on the screen. Curtis, you were talking about they needed more than 4 colors to do this, but this also requires 128K of RAM. And to me, I don't know what the programmers were doing here, but this doesn't really, scream to me, 120. It seems like this could be something that could be done on the CoCo 1 or CoCo 2. But at any rate, it's sort of a cross between Crystal Castles and Cubert.
Yeah.
I would say you play as this slinky-like thing. And what you have to do is you have to collect these treasures that are scattered throughout the level. And you have to land on. Oh, there's Wayne and Garth. Hey guys.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to collect these treasures and then land on certain colors of on the board to get the door to open up. And the other colors on the board will they'll either send the enemies away from you, or they will kill. Like if you land on a green square, it will kill all the other enemies that are on the green square. An interesting thing about this game is that you see they almost look like little voodoo dolls or something that are surrounding you. They can't hurt you. They just sort of get in your way. But the thing that looks like a demonic sock, that is the thing that you fear. You fear the sock. So anyway, we're going to do this at the end of this month on the CoCo Show. And it's a really fun game. I really encourage everybody that's got a CoCo 3 to check this out, because this is, it's sort of a hidden gem. Wouldn't you say, Curtis?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique one. It wasn't ported to or from any other machine, so it was uniquely on the CoCo 3. And it was one of the earlier ones that Spectral Associates sold through Tandy as a cartridge. So if you want a unique game and a little bit puzzly, a little bit arcadey, it's kind of a nice mixture.
Yeah,
and it's 3D.
It is. It's 3D.
Yeah. I do see the Cubert Crystal Castles tie-ins there, as you're mentioning. I was trying to think. This did remind me a little bit of Marble Mazy too, just the kind of 3D-ish design of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the way they've gotten away from a maze of walls by using height to be the maze.
Yeah, because that was a very popular format, is just going through a maze. And so the fact that this is a different type of, the kind of 3D isometric look to it.
And the timer's not a number going in the corner. It's actually an hourglass that gradually fills up, which is kind of neat too. So,
and the animation on the Slinky thing is really good.
Yeah, the animation on the Slinky is great. And to be fair to the developers, with a screen that large, you're covering a large player, you can't really make the enemies that detailed because they're so far away.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they did the best they could with it. But one of the things that I thought was cool about this game was that, like I said, the main enemies, those guys that surround you, they don't kill you, they just slow you down. So you have to think about it in a different way, because ordinarily in an arcade game like this, you're just trying to avoid everything because everything kills you in one hit. But with these, you're just sort of trying to avoid them because they're slowing you down. And then there's the thing that looks like
Mr. Potato Head over there.
Yeah, Mr. Potato Head. That's actually that gives you points, I believe. Mr. Potato Head, you want to collect Mr. Potato Head. So I'm gonna have to do another perusal of the rule book again to figure out exactly what's going on.
And
there.
I see the evil sock and then the skull. Is the skull bad? The
skull's bad also. The skull will kill you, and the evil sock will kill you.
Beware the sock and the skull, but go after Mr. Potato Head.
Right.
Okay.
We should.
And you can loiter around the other guys, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
It's one I think I recommend this to Boat and Aaron as well. Is that this is one you definitely do need to read the manual to get the gist of what some of the color squares.
Yeah, because the colored squares are the key. Like you have to hit the red. You have to collect the treasures and then hit the orange square. The orange square will make the purple doors appear, and then the purple doors are actually how you escape the level. So.
Yeah. So it's not a quickie like you just pick it up dead cold and figure it out. You'll be just slamming your head against the desk.
Yeah, and it seems like it's kind of kid-friendly, family-friendly. So I know, unfortunately, Nick Marotta has now gone on to other things today, but this should be on his list for Game On Challenge because this might be good to get some family participation because it's definitely seems like a family-friendly
I'll just bump
game.
up the sound here just for a little bit so you guys can hear the sound effects. They're minimal, but they're effective.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when you're saying like you're not sure why it requires 128K, but that was the minimum RAM a CoCo 3 had anyways. It probably doesn't use all of that RAM.
Okay. I thought the CoCo 3 was a 64K.
No, that's the minimum setup on a CoCo 3 is 128K.
I see.
But the higher res graphics screens did take up more memory too. So
this particular mode takes 32K.
That was
for
the
the
32K graphics screen.
La destinée du royaume de la Terre.
And if they double buffered it, then that was 64K just in video RAM that was wasted. No, that's neat though. Now I've heard the name, I'd seen it, but I've never actually seen the game, and now I'm intrigued. I like it. I think we should make that on the Game On Challenge at some point.
Cool.
Yeah. This might be one of the ones, since we have not done this game before in Game On Challenge and you guys aren't recording the episode for a few weeks, is that maybe this is one of the ones we can actually synchronize the two.
Absolutely. I mean, we won't record this episode until the end of April, and then it actually won't come out until May sometime. So yeah, plenty of time.
Isn't Qbert kind of like it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's a Qbert Crystal Castles cross with some unique elements of its own,
Yeah, the main difference between this and Qbert is that you don't actually have to traverse all of the squares on a board, in order to pass the level.
Right,
you only have to land on a couple of them to activate the things that you need. So.
Yeah.
Next up, Geigerpunk, who's got that awesome lava lamp and funky TV with all the lighting and stuff here, decided to try OBS and do his first live stream ever. So we did multiple systems on this, and it was an hour and a half stream roughly. And one of the systems he did, and this is all real hardware. He didn't do any emulator for any of the stuff he did. So he does like a Commodore 64, and I think he did a Speccy or an Acorn or something. And he did the Dragon for one particular game. So I thought I'd just show a little bit of that. But the game he picked on the Dragon is a Star Trek style game, but it's not one I've seen before. So I thought I'd show that and let you see what it is. He also got his SDC finally running too.
Captain's log. Stardate 42.9.
We needed a voice synthesizer that talks like her. You're right.
Thing on the front of this now, so I just
a
go
little bit here.
Let's so I can.
Hey, CoCo SDC, I recognize that.
Yeah, running on the Dragon yet.
This is good.
He's got an outdated Explorer.
Yeah, we're really old.
025.
We will see.
So he was taking requests on the chat and the streamer, and somebody suggested S,
Okay,
and then they just picked.
Let's see what that's like. I have no idea.
Loads a little faster than the cassette, huh?
Good job.
Yeah, he's probably not used to that, eh?
Spacefighter, you're about to enter into a hostile universe overrun by a fleet of Krugons. It is now your duty to free the universe.
No copyright problems there.
No, Krugons.
Endeavour and a number of star bases. Would you like more details? Yeah, I suspect you better had. Tell us.
And their space. Oh, look at that split screen. We got graphics and text.
Yep.
Look at that.
A bit more of the advanced programming like Dragonfire there.
See if you can handle that, AC.
This is the joystick I have plugged into joystick port.
What is that?
That's his joystick he's using. It's actually a spring back.
You've got me there.
He's mixing graphics and text there.
Whereas I have
just put the whole project on hold now.
Converter plugged into left.
Or try Musica because it does the same thing.
To switch them out while the Dragon is on, so I will stick with this. So right to joystick.
That's just SG4 and Alpha, right, Curtis?
SG4 in the bottom and P mode 1 on the top.
Oh, okay.
What?
He's basically just during certain H syncs he just changes the video mode completely.
Rotate defenses.
Later in the show here, it's real time clock too.
Yeah.
Side arrow keys and up down keys, which are either side of the keyboard.
Now, is the whole game like this, or is that just on the title screen? Okay, now there you go.
Focus. Thank you.
Krugons. That's what I put on my salad. I put Krugons on my salad.
Okay. Well, I'm moving the joystick.
Those little crunchy things are delicious.
It's making a farting noise.
Oh my, it's broken wind.
Sneaky and boldly go.
How rude.
Where are we going?
Now that looks like that's the text block over there. That's the text cursor.
Where that?
So now he's splitting the modes on a horizontal Or is that just P mode 3?
No, I think it's just P mode.
Okay,
3.
it's hard to tell because of the RF. Or the kind of.
So it's kind of based on the Star Trek simulator arcade game a bit, where you've got your live action on the left and your long range map on the right.
We got one.
And you have guided missiles. This
yeah,
is
that's
different.
neat. It's pretty smooth too. The speed of it.
Making me thinking Trans Am.
Trans-Am.
The aiming is not good.
But I've never seen a Star Trek simulator like this that actually has guided shots. So as you steer, the shots
it's
follow your
okay.
joystick.
Adds kind of an arcade
Like
element to it. Yeah.
My ship.
That's
I'm
neat.
hoping these are bad guys to shoot.
So that's one on the Dragon I've not seen before, so I thought I'd show you guys
this
that.
is for the Dragon exclusively, right?
Probably not for long. And it may, because if it's joystick operated, it basically just works. Usually it's only keyboard stuff that you have to worry about being different. But it's a cool Star Trek. And there's a few Star Treks around the Dragon.
Yeah. If only there was more than 1 or 2 Star Trek inspired games back in the 80s. I just think there was such that was a miss.
Maybe some text mode ones.
Yeah,
just
that was a real
just
missed
being more
opportunity. I think more people should have cashed in on that.
I mean, I know there's a bit of the copyright because you're using Krugons in this game. Obviously, already used that term. So,
Are there a lot of Star Wars too?
Unfortunately, not as many as we would have liked. There's that was intentional irony in that statement because there were dozens, if not multi-dozens, of Star Trek inspired games throughout the 70s and 80s, but not a lot of Star Wars in general. There wasn't a lot of Star Wars because Star Trek is better.
Yes,
because when they had to start a Star Wars game, you have to have that text go.
The scroll.
Yeah. Who's gonna figure that?
Well, that and Lucas was famous for suing people, but
even the first. So Star Wars came out in '77, but the first official Star Wars game that was Star Wars licensed was in 1983 on the Atari vector-based thing. So you're talking about almost a 10-year difference from theatrical release to official arcade release.
That was the third movie was out at that point.
Yeah. So and of course, there were a lot of games that released in early days of the CoCo that had TIE fighter looking ships, so like Quasar Commander and Project Nebula, and a lot of things. So a lot of people would cash in on the look of Star Wars, and then we had the trench game. What was that one called?
Intergalactic Force.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we had the one
or
where
the Force is later.
The Force, where you were like going down the trench to bomb the portal. And then we had Return of the Jet-I later on. But yeah, there weren't. You could probably count on one hand the Star Wars games that came out on the CoCo, whereas you would need at least 2 to count the Star Trek inspired games for the CoCo.
Well, like Star Trek, I got kicked off of the teletype computer in my high school in '74 for playing Star Trek all the time on the teletype.
Wow.
You're old school, man. Actually, I was going to ask you about when do you guys plan on covering teletype games on any of the ARG shows?
That would be never.
You don't have one?
Not unless somebody donates one, and then we might consider it.
That'd be a great ARG episode where you have the printers just going off in the background.
You could do an ASMR episode of that, having that sound.
Isn't that what Walter Cronkite had going on behind his stuff? Yeah.
So next up, this is an interesting one. It's a French channel. I don't know if the guy's in Quebec or if he's in France. I'm assuming Quebec for now, but I'm not sure.
Sacre bleu.
What he's doing is he's trying to go through a chronological of all platforms of the 8-bit machines and doing every single RPG game ever made. And this is his 64th game and his 114th episode. So he's taken multiple shots at a few of them. He's played a Calibeth and Ultima 1 and 2 and Wizardry and all these other ones. And this week he hit Dungeons of Daggorath.
Is this just on the CoCo/Dragon or is this on other platforms too?
This is all 8-bit platforms.
All platforms. Okay.
So I won't play the video because this is his almost 3-hour attempt at this. Now I did talk to him a bit. He does understand English, and he's more of a chess player. He's not a fast typist, so he's just getting slaughtered in there. So he got some save game states and stuff, but it's interesting because you can I turned the closed captioning on, and by the way, YouTube's closed captioning for French to English sucks. But you can get the gist of it every once in a while, and you can see that he's impressed with the real timeness. He's impressed with the sound effects getting louder and the different monsters having unique sounds. Because in 1982, that was
unheard of.
The only game that did that. So
Yeah. Would you say that the closed caption in lay stinks?
Oh, it wouldn't even spell it that way. It's probably say love, pew pew or something. Who knows?
Le pew.
Le pew. Oh.
But I did want to show, like in his videos here, and you can see like he was playing Dungeon on the Apple II, and here he did Dragon Stomp on the Atari 2600, and Rogue on the PC from 1980, and Warrior Brass of Dungeon on there.
Nice.
And you can go through all the various ones, and he goes back into like the, here's the original Wizardry.
Oh yeah, look at that. Nah, that is nice.
Volcanic Dungeon on the ZX81. Various ones. And he goes back and forth between the systems.
I'm gonna have to want to watch. Yeah.
Here's the original Calibeth on the Apple II, and that year's actually wrong because originally Calibeth came out in '79. I know I played it right then. And the Asphy ones from Epix, and like he goes through all these old ones. So he's doing a really nice history of it.
Yeah.
Knight's Move on the Tier Stadium Model 1. I haven't even heard of that one.
We gotta make sure we get Forest of Doom in here. So.
Yeah, well, if he's doing a chronological order, he's gonna be wild.
Yeah. I got 40 years of videos to catch up on. That, so, yeah.
But Dungeon Quest, I remember playing that on the Apple II when that version came out. Like some of these are like bringing back my high school memories type things. So,
yeah.
Just to prove how old I am.
Yeah. And it's amazing how impressive, like if that just seeing that 3D line art looking down a hallway stuff, even on the Apple II.
Oh, that was revolutionary.
That was just like wow, like oh my god,
because I played a few text adventures even back in like 78, 79 on the Pet, and the first time I saw a Calibeth in '79 on the Apple II was like, oh my god, the future's here.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I've never heard or seen an Apple play or do anything.
Oh, you got to catch out the ARG Presents channel because he did some Apple stuff on the stream here just last night, actually.
That would mean I'd have to actually choose to do that.
Yes, just like you choose to review all the Samuel Gimes bits.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, play some Samuel Gimes music in the background, and boom, you're good. Fire up that CoCo Thoughts playlist,
which we know Ron has set up already.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Neat. That is a neat collection.
There's an archer by the door.
So this is and Boat. I don't know how much you know about this because this isn't your show in particular. ARG Presents, which is Aaron and his brother Brent, and they spin that wheel, make the deal, and they have a special theme of
yeah.
show
So this
for
is
every week.
you're in the wrong place, Curtis. If you go to Amigos Retro Gaming, that's where it's a little bit confusing. Amigos Retro Gaming carries the show ARG Presents. ARG Presents Twitch channel is the channel where we stream Blue. That's where we do our not family-friendly content.
That's clear as mud. Thanks.
Yeah. I did not make the system. I just know how it works. So if you go to Amigos Retro Gaming, just twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming, you can find the ARG Presents show on there. There we go.
So wait, this is recorded live at 10 a.m. Eastern, I believe, every Sunday?
Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern every Sunday.
And tomorrow's show is type-in games. That's what they spun on the wheel. So games typed in from books or magazines. And they both happen to pick CoCo games from Rainbow. Now, Boat, I think you've actually tried one or two of these?
I've played both of these. Both of these.
So do you want to give kind of a sneak preview of what we get to look forward to?
Yeah. So the first game, both of these are actually also Gopher-based games, which is weird. I don't know how that happened. The first one is called Gopher Smash. Anybody played Gopher Smash before?
No.
So everybody's played the whack-a-mole game over at the Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. This is a type-in game based on that, and I'm telling you guys, this is a good game. It's a perfect example of what a type-in game should be. So you got fast action. The Gophers rise up, and the way that they've done it is that the Gophers rise up out of holes that are marked with the QUE, ASD, and ZXC keys on the keyboard. So you keep your fingers over those buttons, and then you mash on whatever letter it is to walk the Gopher. But there are also false flags, so you'll have other shapes that are not Gophers rise up out of the holes, and if you hit them, then you lose points. So for like a 10 line, or I mean, it's a very short type-in game. It's very impressive. The graphics are good and everything. So I highly recommend Gopher Smash. I do not highly recommend Brent's game, which is called Gopher It. And it is basically like a snake type game where you are delving into your gopher hole and you pick up plus signs. The game crashes when you go outside the play field, and the game never actually ends. Whenever you collect all the plus signs, it just sort of flashes, and then you have to manually reboot, which is par for the course for a lot of type-in games. You guys know that type-in games not always the hallmark of quality.
Well, did you type them in yourselves, or did you get a digital copy of it?
They did. I submitted a few suggestions
because it
to,
could be
Aaron.
it could be typographical errors.
That's
too,
good. User error could be a part of it.
I made a rainbow on disc. I grabbed the 2 rainbow on discs that these 2 games came off, which both were from '86 but different issues. And the bugs that Boat is describing, especially the one when you end the game, like when you supposedly win, it just sits there in a single sound routine. That's actually in the original game. So that's actually right from Rainbow on disc too. I didn't have it crash, so maybe there was a typo there. But yeah, they both typed them in. They were both like less than a page or just barely a page. So they were shorter games. They're not like extensive. I mean, we had some pretty decent, basic games, but they didn't want to type in 9 pages in a deadline for half a week.
Brent actually typed his in on the Mocha, the online CoCo thing, and then he saved it as a snapshot, so you can play it right in the browser. So pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, if you guys are interested, I did make a disc image with both of these on there and put it up on the Amigos Discord. But if you guys on the CoCo Discord want me to put it up there so you can kind of see what they're talking about and try it out after their show tomorrow, I can throw them up on our Discord as well if there's enough interest.
Sure.
Okay.
Very
so that's
cool.
the last of the video stories I have for the Game On News. There's one other thing I will mention, though, is posted in our Discord. There's no screenshots or anything to say here, but Brett Gordon gave a small update to the Legends of Alcaron, which is the game that him and Jay Cyril working with, the networking game. And I'll just read his exact quote. I think we did our first test of multiplayer last night. I don't know what he means. He thinks he did. Wasn't much to see, but it was fun seeing the 2 kings running around in a shared, albeit small world, and knowing the other king was a human and not some brainless NPC. It came with new bugs and expected bugs, so they've actually got to the point where 2 simultaneous players are now playing network, though it's it's barely running at that point. But the 2-player interaction is actually working now.
Neat.
So I wanted to give you that guys that update as well.
Yeah.
And that's it for both sets of news.
So that's all news. All right. Well, we got about roughly 20 minutes before I have a hard out. So we can go ahead and squeeze in project updates and acquisitions in this time frame for those who have them. Although Brian Weisler's here, I don't know if 20 minutes is even enough for him to begin to explain what he got for us. So what I'll do is I'll go first, because what my acquisition is Australian related, and it's the hat I've been wearing all day today. And so I was at a festival a couple of weeks ago, and I saw this. This is what caught my eye on the booth is it said kangaroo hat. I'm like, oh crikey, I got to check this out. So this is an Australian hat that's supposedly made out of kangaroo leather. So this is my Outback. According to Nick, this is what the poofters wear in Australia. So I don't know, but I think it looks kind of cool. And so I was just thinking about Nick and thinking about Australia when I got this hat. So that's my latest acquisition. And boom.
I have a croc teeth quick one to talk about real quick.
John Laury.
Yeah, I my CoCo 3 is on a journey. I sent it off to the Zipster zone. It's getting upgraded. I'm getting the Gimme X with the 8 mags and the socketed 6309 upgrade as well. So that's off happening. And I'm awaiting it to be back. Whenever Ed gets around to it.
It's like sending your CoCo to the spa, right? It's going to get its hair did, its nails did. It's going to come back looking all fabulous, right? So.
It's exactly. And so when it gets back, I should have a bunch of neat stuff to be able to do.
It's a bit more than a spa, though. It's also like it went for like 2 months of intensive physical training with a therapist or something
right?
like that.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah, exactly. I'm excited. I can't wait for it to get back.
That is cool.
Yeah, there's a few people that got on the early. Qui-Gon, I think, is on that list too. That is getting the early, and a few other people I know of have actually sent theirs off too. So Ed's doing a few in this first or second batch, I guess. His first beta tester's got the first batch of the.
If you do it, the way to do it is to when you ship it and pay for the return shipping at the same time, and they can include the label, so that all Ed has to do is put it back in the same box, put the label on it, and ship it back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Ed just responded saying, "Just finish it. Should go out Monday." How do you like that?
Awesome.
Real time communications here.
It takes about 4 days or so to get there. So about by next Friday or so, I should have
Speaking of Ed Snyder stuff, this is my CoCo MC10 that he modified for me, and I've got my MCX 32 and my MCX 128. So yeah, I want to check out that new Darren Ottery hybrid game on the MCX 32. So
thanks, Ed.
I got my MC 10s ready to hook up here in the near future. So cool.
Yeah, Ed said he's working on a bunch right now, so that's good.
Now, who else has got an update or acquisition they would like to share? Anyone?
I've got a little something.
Sure, go ahead.
So this past Saturday was one of the hallmark events of my life. It was the third meeting of the International Computer Club that was held on our Twitch channel, the Amigos Retro Gaming Twitch channel. And who better to ring it in was the one and only Curtis Boyle, who gave a presentation on Ultima clones for the CoCo and also the Gimme X board. Curtis, you want to give a quick recap of your talk that you gave on the ICC?
I don't know if I really have to, because I kind of did some of the same talk on CoCoTALK that same day. But basically, yeah, we've got the archive of the Gates of Delirium archive, which is the first CoCo real full-blown Ultima clone, up on my game's website, and that had been lost for a while because 4 people had worked on it over 2004 to 2006, and then it disappeared. The original website went bye-bye. And I don't know, I'd archived it off in a CD, and I finally found the darn things. I put it up. And it's actually stirred a lot of interest because a lot of people haven't played it and didn't realize how big the game was. And then, of course, just giving some summaries on the Gimme X, because now it's actually getting into manufacturing. Ed's got, the pick and place machinery. He's also in the midst of moving, so that kind of slowed things down a bit. But he just released a new firmware update for it, too, as well. But basically, it's now starting to get shipped out in small quantities in the full, pick.
It's kind of like the COVID shot, it seems like. We're getting small doses, but pretty soon it'll be ready for the entire country to have.
Yeah, there'll be the deluge. Because once he gets it into, manufacturing using that new equipment he's got there, it should start.
Now, did you get the Moderna Gimme X, or did you get the Pfizer?
The Janssen one shot.
and we also had people from all around the world. Obviously, this is the International Computer Club. We had people from England giving presentations. We had Rob O'Hare from Oklahoma giving a presentation on his console copier collection. We had a real nice group of people from all around just talking about it's basically like CoCoTALK, except it's only once every 3 months, and it covers all all computers, all consoles, anything retro. So.
That's cool.
And I did want to mention too, what's the name of the guy in Toronto?
Jason Warren. Are you talking about Jason Warrens, or are you talking about Frank from Retro Rewind?
Yeah, Retro Rewind, who we were talking in the chat earlier here, who wants to get into manufacturing some CoCo stuff, and he's got several of those pick machines as well, and he actually makes a ton of Amiga and C64 hardware, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, this guy has a long history. I guess he used to work with Leo Laporte over on the This Week in Tech, and back all of his various things that he used to do back in the day. But now he's getting into the hardware game, and I'm super excited that he's thinking about delving into the CoCo scene. That's super cool.
Yeah, he did mention to me he's already got a CoCo 1 and 2. He wants to get a CoCo 3 so that he has machines of all 3 basic types for doing prototype, hardware design and stuff. But he does, like you can mention, what's some of the stuff he's done in the Amiga and C64 as far as hardware?
He's done diagnostic carts for the C64. He has a full range of cap kits available for all the Amiga systems. If you guys know anything about the Amiga, the caps blow on those like nobody's business. So you got to recap those old systems. He's even got little things like transit discs for the 1541 for the C64 hard drive. Or for the floppy, if you're taking it on the road or whatever, they actually sold little cardboard diskettes that you put in there to keep the innards from rattling around. He sells reproduction ones of those. Lots of little things like that. But his big sellers, I'd say, are both the RGB to HDMI adapter for the Amiga, plus all of the diagnostic kits for the C64. But like I said, he's very excited about expanding into the CoCo universe too.
Yeah, so he was a good guest, and I'd never met him before the ICC show. That
super
was really
nice.
Cool.
Super.
We've been talking to each other since.
That's
trying
awesome.
to score him a CoCo 3 right now. So
another hardware developer for the CoCo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crikey.
At the next CoCo Fest, somebody ought to put every available adapter on a CoCo and see what it would look like.
David Ladd, are you volunteering?
The next CoCo Fest is going to be at Ron's house. I'll back by the pool.
Arizona Fest.
Why not?
Cool. So is there anything else that we didn't cover at this point, or was there something else anybody else have?
Brian Weisler.
Brian Weisler's raising his hand.
As we knew he would.
I got a couple things I can share real quick if you.
Oh, and that was Brian Schubring too. Were you raising your hand, waving your hand, Brian Schubring? Okay, so we got Brian and Brian, and then we might be out of time because we got about 15 minutes left, a little less than 15 minutes. So, Brian Weisler, you're up, and then we'll get to Brian Schubring.
Okay. A couple things here. One of those mouse holders. If you guys remember those back in the day, that you could. They actually double-sided tape. You could actually stick them on the side of your monitor, so you could hang your.
Oh God! I
Hang
forgot about those.
Hang your mouse on there. So
useful invention, useless invention ever. So yeah.
It keeps that patch on the monitor from going yellow, though.
Oh, there. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yes. And then also picked up the art gallery version of the software binder, and what I liked about this one is it actually had everything in there. So a lot of times it's missing the cartridge or the cassettes.
Yeah.
And it even had the images files.
Oh wow.
So, and it had the also came with the where's it at?
Wait for it.
Wait for it there. Oh shoot, it's in between here. There it is. The beloved.
The keyboard template overlay.
That's right. Got to have that.
That's complete. That's a complete.
You got to have the chiclet keyboard too.
Yes, you got to have the chiclet. Yes, you got to have the chiclet keyboard. A book that I've had my eyes on for a while, or not been looking for a while, and finally, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He had posted on Facebook that he had some books available, and so I reached out to him, and this is one I've been wanting to get. It's the Captain 80 book of basic adventures.
Oh wow!
So that's the Model 1 and 3 then, right?
It does cover the Model 1 and 3, and it's one of those that's kind of a cross-platform.
Yeah, it's basic.
Book.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Is there an archive of that? I would love, because I'm working on another book on basic adventures that I'm using to develop something with.
I can check and see. Yep.
Be great to see some of that.
Yep.
That's cool.
And then last week you guys had seen me with I showed this one here. The reading is fun.
Oh, that is so
cool. This week Moby Dick.
Wow. And these are pristine, dude. These are just
they're in the still in the bubble. So yeah.
You are an animal when it comes to collecting. Like Brian's an animal when it comes to music. You're an animal when it comes to collecting. So.
And then just two more things here.
Just two more. A slow week for you, Brian. Slow week.
Two more.
Right.
Or he's pacing himself for next week. I'm not sure.
A couple Dragon cartridges, Cave Attack and or Ghost Attack, excuse me, and Cave Hunter.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance to play with them yet, though. But two of those, and then. A guy that I've been buying some stuff from over in the UK, he asked me if I'd be interested in this. I don't know if anybody recognizes it. The name of the company is P&P Communications.
Okay.
The cartridge has some legs on it.
Wow.
And a connector.
It's a multi-pack.
It's not a multi-pack. It's a disc controller for the Dragon.
Okay.
So it's not the actual Dragon controller, but it is compatible with the Dragon, which I've been kind of excited about because I'd like to get a floppy drive going on the Dragon. So you can see it uses a little different connector, but it's still the 50 pin. It's just that it has the type that you put in there.
50 or 34?
34.
34 for floppy. Okay.
Yep, you're correct. Yep.
All right.
So just a different type of connector, but it has little legs in there, so it prop itself up. So.
Yeah. Okay. Stabilization. Yeah,
that'll look silly in a multi-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be the last cartridge too, because you can't have anything in front of it.
Exactly. So there you go.
That's neat. That's a long cartridge. I guess that's similar to like the original CoCo 1 floppy one that was longer. That's like a super long cartridge.
Yep.
That looks like that's probably bigger than the mini MPI, the Mega Mini MPI even probably, you know? So it's just,
it acts as a coffee stand as
Yeah,
well.
right? You put your coffee cup on top of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stable enough with the legs on it, so yeah.
It's actually a little bit longer. So yeah, here would be the cartridge.
Yeah.
So
it's quite a bit longer. Holy
wow. That's quite a bit longer than a long cart.
Yeah. So yep.
That
so
is
yeah, I'm kind of
interesting.
excited to try this out, and haven't been able to find a lot of documentation on it, but there is a text file out there on the Dragon archive that has some of the commands that are in it are available. So.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you, Brian Weisler. And up next is Brian, the Music Man Schubring.
Yeah. And just a real quick teaser.
Is this a 20-minute teaser like your
Yeah,
YouTube
like
video?
your last
No. Okay. All right. Here we go. Get this up here, and you can read what it says there.
Sung by Carrie Underwood. Words and music by Josh Carey and Chris Tompkins. Moused in by Brian Schubring.
Mm-hmm. Got the sheet music and all that.
Okay.
And this is going to be CoCo related. I'm going to shut up with that.
Okay. Can we get a little teaser of what it sounds like, or is that just we have to tune into your YouTube channel in a future episode? Can't hear it.
Playing it.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you going to get dinged for this?
No.
All right.
Now we're getting a little distortion now.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So, but yeah, there's.
Ouch! You're killing
turn
us.
down your volume.
Overmodulated there, Brian.
Is that better?
A little bit more.
Barely.
What?
Still distorting.
Okay.
Weird. I didn't do anything with my mic at all.
You're coming in really hot, so your whole board's hot or something.
Just sit back from the mic.
Yeah, don't eat it.
I'm not eating it. I'm back from it. Is that better?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's a little bit better, yeah.
Talk to us from the next room over.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
Talk
what
to us
the
from
heck
Ron's
is going
house.
on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No, that sounds
what's
good.
going on.
That's so. And I should have also mentioned in my updates, and in addition to my genuine Australian hat, the newsletter will hopefully be distributed today. We've been working on it a lot. The team has been working. The newsletter right now is already up to 48 pages with no fluff. That's all content. So a lot of great contributions. A lot of great articles. So the Glenside CoCo 123 Spring Edition will hopefully be published tonight in time for Easter tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I'm very proud of what we've put together. And I want to thank everybody who has contributed to it. We're going to have a recurring Nitrous or OS9 column from Rick Euland and all kinds of stuff. So look forward to that, hopefully tonight.
The good thing it's email, or you'd have to spring for perfect binding.
Yeah, right? All right, and so, cool. Anybody else? Updates, acquisitions, thoughts?
Ron.
Thoughts and prayers?
It's just a reminder to catch ARG Presents tomorrow on the Amigos Gaming on Twitch at 10 a.m. Eastern for 2 CoCo Type In Gopher games.
Yeah, Ron, you said you had a few things you wanted to share. We got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. No. All right.
Nothing.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the outro, and then we will be back, and we'll have time for final thoughts after these words. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We had a great turnout in the live viewership, too. We peaked around 60 viewers live, so good turnout today. Thanks, everybody, for watching. So we'll be back right after the outro. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTalk would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Alan Murphy, Bill Noble, Brian Joyce, Brian Weisler, Curtis Boyle, D. Bruce Moore, Danny O'Connor, David Ladd, Eric Canales, Grant Leedy, James Diffendaffer, Jason Reichert, Jim Brain, Ken Reichert, Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer, Mikey Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Marentes, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski, Rick Adams, Rick Euland, Rob Inman, Ron Delvaux, Samuel Gimes, Sloopy Malibu, Steve Bjork, Terry Steggy, Tom C., and many more. Please help support the CoCo community. A list of various contributors and resources are available at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The original CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever, people!
Messing up my
All right. It is time for final thoughts, parting thoughts. Alan, thanks for being here. AC from AC's 8-Bit Zone. That is a super cool project. That's one of those, it's weird. It's like software, I don't think software, there's never been a challenge. People who are making software, they seem to sell it, but it seems like hardware, everybody wants hardware. Not everybody wants software. Not everybody wants a game. Not everybody's into Nitrous 9. But hardware, boom, everybody wants hardware. You know what I mean? So CoCo SDCs and multi-packs and sound cards and Wi-Fi modules. Hardware seems to do well in the CoCo community. So I think you're onto something. You're definitely, and these discussions come up all the time in the Are you in the Facebook group, AC?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've considered it though.
Yeah, so the questions come up a lot when people enter the community saying, okay, how can I get a good picture on my CoCo? And then you're going to get 45 different answers. Well, you got to do a composite mod, or you got to buy a CoCo VGA, you got to do this, or you got to do that. And there's a simple answer. You could just get a freaking, RCA F connector to coax and plug in a straight clean picture to your TV, and you'll get halfway decent stuff without having to spend hardly any money. And if you don't want to solder and you don't want to do this, but everybody's got their opinion on the best way to get output from a CoCo. It's good to know that there are choices, obviously. And I think John Lowry's favorite option is the VCR. Is that true, John Lowry? So
absolutely not.
That's possible.
It's got to be a Goodwill VCR.
I believe it has to be a Betamax.
I swear that's what the guy said. I don't remember his name. And he blocked me. He literally blocked me after I got up his rear on that one. That was just crazy. I couldn't believe he was actually suggesting that as a.
But yeah, so there's because the CoCo 3 has RGB out, there are a lot of fairly easy ways to get output from the CoCo 3, but there haven't been a lot of what I'd call elegant CoCo 2 solutions. We got composite mods. CoCo VGA is great, but there's a $100 price tag on it, and not everybody's going to do that. Although I have it and I like it. But so you got something that's kind of in between all these things, right? It's you still got all the nice clean output from a CoCo VGA. You don't have the extra features of the CoCo VGA, but this is a great solution for somebody who wants clean output on their CoCo.
Yeah. Hey, and just one thing I want to throw out there that I've been thinking about while we've been talking is. I have a couple of CoCo 2s with the T1, the 6847 T1. I've never seen the schematic for that version of the board. So if you have a CoCo 2 schematic that shows the T1 connections, there are some differences there. I could benefit from seeing a copy of that.
All right, and we have a channel on Discord where you can stick that.
I'll stick it there too. I'll stick it to it.
Yeah, cool. How else can people reach you? Do you have a preferred way for people to contact you? Do you want to give people an email address or something for you, AC?
Yeah, there's an email. So Discord works. So AC8bitzone@gmail.com.
Okay.
So and it's AC8bitzone without the S on AC. It's just AC8bitzone.
Okay. AC Alpha Charlie 8bitzone@gmail.com.
But here's the real important thing. Do you have a MySpace page?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Or an IRC chat handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm so popular on MySpace that Tom's in my top of my friends list. So
Can we dial into your BBS?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Mark Overholzer, thanks for getting all the chat links out there. Curtis, thanks for procuring and for hosting the news for us. Brian, Ron, you're raising your hand. If you need to go potty, you can just go. You don't need a hall pass.
No, I wanted to say Paul Barton's not doing well.
That's
prayers and thoughts because he's having a rough time with some pain and.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's lost weight and he needs
Not good.
major prayer.
Okay, there you go. Put Paul Barton in your prayers, everybody. John Laury, fan of the VCR, is there. Thank you, John, for being here. Rick Hewlin, thanks for being here. Boat from the Amigos show. Mark Bosley's here. Jason Reichert, AC, Brian Weisler, Nick Marentes, I'm not sure if he's still awake, and Alan Murphy. Thank you, guys. We're going to press the button to say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Happy WeFax.